Too sweet.
Hello, listeners. TSR Year End Podcast. This is our first podcast since May, April, when we said we were going to start doing more podcasts. We failed on that. But our good buddy Rito is moving home, and hopefully 2025 brings more podcasts. Boys, we're here to count down the top albums, later the songs on a separate podcast. I got to say, just high level, 2024 is the best year since we started doing this in terms of music. It's been 4 or 5 years. Insane. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree for sure. And on our last year-end podcast, I was kind of the guy sitting here saying 2023 wasn't that great a year. So like we started the first couple of months of 2024 and like it kind of springboarded and we had a real good early on in the year and it fizzled out a little bit in the summer, but the quality was still coming.
Yeah, I completely echo that, guys. I know that we didn't think it would be this good, and I know we've been talking this whole year going, how the hell are we going to do this at the end of the year? Because everything has been so high quality and just the output has been fantastic. So I'm very excited for this.
Yeah, well, I mean, just to think about it, if you've been following us the past 3 years, we've only done our top 5 albums of the year. This year, I made a joke in the group chat saying, hey, we should count down 10. And eventually, I wore the 2 guys down, and we are counting down our 10 favorite albums. So that just goes to show how great of a year this is. We're really looking forward to diving in. Anything else to add, boys?
The top 5 would have been damn near impossible.
Yeah.
If we didn't stretch it out to 10. We
I-
would have been leaving off some real good ones.
I scoffed at 10. I was like, no. Like, we are not doing 10. And then I kind of sat down and I was like, I'm glad we're doing 10. We could have done 15. We could have done 20. We've had this conversation too.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, when you get to the end of the list, like whether it's 5 or whether it's 10 or whether it's the 15th album, you always feel like you're leaving off something of quality. Like it's not a easy cut and dry fix. And yeah, can't wait.
The big question moving forward is next year, will it be 5 or 10? Like how good's 2025 going to be?
Yeah, that's a great question because like right now I feel very passionate about the 10 albums I want to share with you guys, but what about next year? I only have 5 good ones. I don't think we can cut back. I think this is the new norm.
Once you move the goalposts, I think there's no turning back. So we're just gonna have to start digging way deeper to find some stuff.
2025 is just going to be us coming in and shitting on 5 albums and then 5 great albums.
It's gonna skip the year. Nothing good comes out.
Maybe we bump it to 15. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see.
So, guys, one thing I just want to touch on before we dive into our favorite albums of this year is we had a surprise release from one of our TSR favorites yesterday. I'm not sure if either of the guys decided to include it on their list, but let's talk about Kendrick Lamar for a very quick second here. He's one of our favorites. I think both of you had him on your top 5 from 2 years ago.
Oh yeah.
Insane backlog. Just, I didn't personally include it. I listened to it twice. It came out yesterday. So, like, is there any thoughts you'd like to add in terms of that possibly in hindsight when you look back on it in 6 months that it might be there, might be higher, might not be there?
Just that he came in right under crunch. He must have knew we were doing this today. Yeah.
How dare he know that we have a podcast today and do that right before? It's very rude, honestly.
Like typical Kendrick fashion, though. Like he did it surprise drop, middle of the day on Friday, versus what you get with a lot of others that are trying to promote, get the numbers. Kendrick, I'm just doing my own shit here. And the reaction it gets is the reaction it gets. And of course, Kendrick had a big year in 2024 before this album even came out, right? With him and the Drake beef, which for a lot of people elevated him only with a few songs. So we'll see on the album.
I feel like his stock has risen so much this year. Like
Super Bowl.
he's always been like a critical darling, and he's had a great fan base and following, and we've seen him, and he's been around for a while. But I just feel like this Drake beef is kind of has risen him to like a point where he's almost like a part of the lexicon of like the West Coast of hip hop. Like he's kind of like the culture right now, and he's kind of fighting back against these kind of like posers in his mind. And yeah, between that and Super Bowl, it's just it's crazy. It's honestly crazy.
Yeah, I mean, like on early listens, that's really what the album's a lot about. He gave up the Drake beef, like it's nothing really directed at him, but like you can feel how he seems to think his circle is really small now. like down to like a handful of his best friends. Like there's no more big posse. It's not, he's doing it for himself, for his legacy, for his children, for his wife, that kind of thing. And, you know, I think it's going to age well. And I will not be surprised in like 6 months if I look back and say, yeah, that should have been on my list. But can't judge an album in one fucking day.
The thing with TSR, and I'll say this, is that it's in these years we've been doing this, it's made me realize that an album is not just face value. Like even on one listen, it's gonna take, there's layers to everything. So there are albums that might be on my list today that took multiple listens. So it's kind of unfair to kind of give them that shake and put them on a list when I haven't given it that time. So it's
And
unfortunate.
even to that point, like we discussed earlier, like albums earlier on in the year that we were laser focused on may not have the lasting power. And where do they end up now? Like we rank every album that we write, but like how do those numbers hold up today versus when we did them at the time? Like we have timing on our side now, and see how they hold up, right? So I'm interested to see where you guys have some of those highly ranked ones from earlier this year.
Yeah, if anyone's following, like I had a slew of eights. It's been an insane year for me music wise. Like everything just hit. I've said it many times in my intros on reviews. It's just like rock music is back, or it's at least getting enough press that I'm finding it like through that capacity. And I'm super happy to see that. Really ready to dig in here and see where you guys came on your top 10.
Lundy's eating good.
I will say one final thing that the feuds really elevate things.
Yes.
So you have like the Kendrick Drake, which everybody was paying attention to that.
Yeah.
And then you kind of low key, maybe big key, depending on who you are, have like the Taylor, Charlie.
Yeah, the lore behind that. Yeah.
Taylor versus the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, every pop star ever versus Taylor Swift. I mean, I think everyone except for the Swifties, which is a large group of people, are kind of sick of her. But
Even in this moment right now, we're based in Canada. We have a lot of friends in Toronto at this moment.
Yeah.
About to Swift it up. So
yeah, selling tickets for like $3,000 and $4,000 just this year. And man, I get it. You know, it's I don't know.
What I'll say
time.
about it
Right
is
time.
like we do this podcast because we love music. We love the feeling it gives us. We love it brings people together. So like I can't knock Swifties. Like they're doing that based on what it does for them. And like same thing, like you have like a Charlie this year that brought so many people together. And like, you know, call it what you will and where you guys may have it on your list and stuff, but like that's what we love about music. So like it's hard for me to sit here and criticize, hey, why do you guys all love that, when that's what I get out of music and that's what I love the most about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, unfortunately, what I would think is that the bands or artists we often love don't reach that status.
No.
Like it's not to say we're finding niche stuff, but it's just the reality of the music we listen to rarely gets the full public perception. Like it can't reach those levels. So in a way, we feel like we're digging into lesser known music, and we hope that you're listening to it in that way. But like, I love it. It's so fun. I love what we do.
it's great. Yeah. If we can, and that was in kind of in our mission statement, is that if we can get somebody to enjoy something they've never heard, be it a genre or an artist or a song, make their summer, that's what we're doing. You know, I have no beef with Taylor or any artists. I think, like you said, we're here for the music. I feel as though I'm proud in TSR that we're not a pretentious entity. Like we just enjoy music. We tell you what we enjoy. We don't mind what you enjoy. The machine sometimes can be annoying with, you know, like the other side of the music business, but I would never knock anybody for liking whatever they want to like. Right?
It's just our opinion.
It's our opinion. Yeah, we're opinion based.
And who's to say these little known artists won't be big in a few years?
Right.
And we'll be like the finders. Hey, you should have
Exactly.
been listening to us 5 years ago.
Well,
when
and
we
then
said
they,
were off.
they like our post, and we go,
Mhm.
Or their
Yeah.
uncle,
Yeah.
their grandfather or something.
Yeah.
oh, shout out.
All right, guys. I think we dive in here. So as usual, we'll roll a dice. Is it highest goes first or lowest goes first? And then we'll go clockwise just to make it easier.
I'd say highest goes first. I
Ice
think.
goes first.
Highest goes first.
All right.
Go ahead.
All right. I don't like this one here, so I will be not rolling a one. Actually, I want a one, don't I? God
Well,
damn it.
Depends on if you want to go
Math,
first or not.
math was never my four.
4. 5. It's hard. 2.
Okay.
All
You
right.
get my notes that I forgot.
I wasn't.
BRB.
I wasn't going to. I'm trying not to read off notes here. This is stuff I scrambled down. So, all right. Number 10. My 10th album, 2024, is Jamie XX's In Waves. This album, I've been a big fan of his. He doesn't put out a lot of music, which really improves the lore for me. Like, I've grown to love the XX, his original band, but his DJing is insane. It feels so old school, like he's sampling off records, like he's switching records. Everything is so well done. It's pristine. And in this case, rather than being like really kind of indie focus, he basically made a dance floor anthem, which, if you know me, is not something I'm generally into. But this is so well done. He's blown me away like no other electronic artist ever has. You know, the mix with all my avalanches, all my children, like so good. Like chanting kids, like Israeli kids, like as the beat essentially. And like everything on there is so good. He uses the proper features. It's just a perfectly curated dance floor album. Amazing. I don't know how you guys feel.
Go ahead, Russ.
I'm just gonna lead right into it. I don't know what the night's gonna look like, but my 10 is also In Waves by Jamie XX,
Nice,
which
nice.
is crazy. I will preface this right away by saying that if Lundy enjoys it, an EDM album, then it's good.
Yeah.
Because this man is not you're not gonna see him at the raves dancing around anytime soon. Like he's a very much on the rock side of everything. So he touched on a lot of points. Very true in that his production style is, and I say it in my review, he can take the digital, he can take a dance infused digital kind of sound, and it adds so much soul through his use of sampling. His samples are great, be it gospel or old 70s, 60s. It's almost like he's doing the old school method of like crate digging and finding sounds and making them work.
Well, he said, sorry to cut you off, but he says the reason he learned it is because of his parents' record collection. It was so diverse that he would just like pick up on these little samples from listening to his parents' records.
Oh yeah, and again, this kind of shows like having a musical family must be so nice. You know what I mean? But no, his weaving of the digital and the analog, as I say, and being able, his sample selection is fantastic. His the little noises that we call it
Roz dropped an album this week, by the way.
Us
Anyway.
producers call it.
It's we call it ear candy. So it's basically any kind of little noises, variations that kind of break it from your regular four on the floor, kind of monotonous. What makes people think dance music is too, repeating and looping. He breaks that mold, and it's just a fine electronic album. And it's definitely, it's my number 10 as well.
That's interesting. Yeah, I really liked it. I got it wrote down there. What do we end up on? Like 8.3, I think it might be 8.3. Yeah. I was really happy that you guys both loved it because you're like fans of the XX, and you guys got me into it a little bit. And like you had the In Colors and In Waves, which is like his new take on where he is right now, which I thought was pretty cool. As we talked about, I do struggle a little bit like coming up with explanations and like talking about what's going on, but man, so many of these tracks are just absolute bangers. Like
the art too. You really went into the art, like kind of his aesthetic, which is very important for any artist. Like, because people don't realize that the music and the art and the graphics and like the visual all kind of comes together at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's a tidy little package. There's like 4 or 5 songs on there that are absolute bangers, and like you said, like I would find myself at a rave anytime soon, unless 3 of us are going is the only time. But like that could be an album of your night. Like you could play the whole thing front to back, and it'd be amazing.
Yeah, we could put it on later, and it would just hit.
Great.
Yeah,
it's a great dance.
He just curates a night out essentially.
He does,
yeah. It really brings me back. We're feeling like at Martini Bar or something like that. Like a
shout out to the Martini Bar.
Shout out to our home. But like, yeah, it's almost, it's not like too ravey. Like it's a dance club. Like it's
very groove centric.
Yeah,
it's not trying to it's not like a put your fucking hands up.
Yeah,
it's just like a nice like earworm groove in your mind, and just like a thumping kick, and it just you move your body to it, right?
It's not like you see the artist up DJing and you're paying attention to him. It's not that kind of way. It's almost just like you're on the dance floor with your girl or your buddies or whatever, and you're just dancing around. You're not really paying attention to the artist so much. He's just curating a night out for you. And it's, like I said, I generally don't like this music, but he just does something to me, man. He really elevates the genre for me.
He's good. And I gotta just have a little side note on this. There's something really special, and you guys can probably agree, when you see somebody who finds success in like a group or band, and then they kind of break away for their own vision, and they also find success. Like the XX they're elite. Like I love the XX.
Oh, yeah.
For him to leave Jamie XX and do his own style of electronic music from that, take his experience from that, and then still be successful. That's just top talent. Think about it.
Yeah, I read there that like they did the song together. I don't remember the name, but like it's hard for them to like give it to him and not keep it for themselves as a whole.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
and
it's
I
gotta
can
be
totally
tough.
see that.
Yeah,
It's gotta be
absolutely.
tough.
Yeah. Hopefully they've all done their side projects now. They all released in like the last year. Romney had
Yeah, Romney, yeah, she had a big year, right?
she did really well for herself. I can't remember the other guy's name. It wasn't so much.
That sucks for him.
But the XX is hopefully gonna return next year. And I think
sick.
yeah,
Would love a new album. from them.
hopefully gonna return.
That'd be great.
All right, Rito.
Well,
10.
we're gonna save time if we keep doing it that way.
I think there'll be some duplicates.
LinkedIn, yeah, we'll see.
So 10 for me is an album that Roz did a reel on earlier this year. It has been met with like super good critical acclaim, but like for me, it checked a lot of boxes that I really liked. It's Idols, Tanks. They have such a unique sound, like those British guys. I really enjoy like throughout there's this like dark, like with the bass, like they really have this dark kind of tumble feeling going to it. Gift Horse, amazing song. The one they did with LCD Sound System. There's one there, it's what is it? It's A Gospel, which is an excellent one in the middle where they totally strip it down. And like for me, it's my first experience,
Yeah.
and Lundy gave me a couple of the other ones to listen to. I listened to them, but not enough to compare and contrast, I will say. I know that those ones were like considered like higher quality and stuff.
Well, yeah, it's not so much like it's just quality is in the eye of the beholder at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But it's weird because they're not as punky on this album. They're more just high energy rock.
Yeah.
And they were really like punk on their first couple albums. And as a fan, I've seen this like following the message boards and stuff, is that longtime fans of the band are a bit disappointed with the album. So it's expectations, man, at the end of the day.
Yeah. I can see that for sure. I mean, like we struggle when our artists switch, and we talk about it all the
Yeah,
time.
absolutely.
Like staying stagnant, people will say, hey, they don't change. But then when you do change, people are like, I want their old stuff.
Go back to the
Like,
old stuff. Yeah.
It's hard
Like,
to win.
I've been in the car very much like that.
Only change if it's a good change,
Yeah.
Yeah,
which they
exactly.
don't know.
Yeah.
No, I love what you just said, because I remember we've had done albums where I've listened to albums where you're like, I'm like, this is their best album. You're like, well, it's not as good as their last album, because you can think of albums as like they're developing their sound or trying to progress, but to be like objective, never heard them before, and then to have somebody with the kind of context behind and then trying to work backwards, it's such a weird feeling.
Well, it's almost better because like I'm jaded because I love their first couple albums.
exactly.
But like if Rito can come in as a new fan and I know your music taste, you love that album, you're gonna also love the other albums. So in a way, while they changed, it brought in new people,
For sure.
brought in new listeners, and they're still absolutely crushing. It's not as if it's bad
No.
Yeah.
at all.
And there's a couple of songs there like where I feel like you'd appreciate it much more live. You know what I mean?
Oh,
where they
yeah,
have
yeah.
like
All these
yeah.
like heavy, distorted
Yeah.
like rock bands, you just know you just get sweaty and they're just on stage.
they have
It's
those
great.
like chanty choruses, and you can like on the album it's like toned back a bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Gift Horse, I use it as another example. Like, but live that would be just like an explosion, get punched in the face.
Yeah.
Like haven't you know? What I mean?
Yeah.
But
Probably a couple
you
mosh
listen on
pits
the
going on.
album, it's like they almost turn the volume down because it won't like mesh with the rest of it. But
Yeah.
I really dig that.
Nice, man.
Yeah, not much to add really. Like, no, I thought it was fantastic. I think their sound is great. That grating UK kind of just heavy rock noise. And I just will say that they did like our story when we
Yeah, shout out Idols.
Thank you for
Yeah,
at the Little Guys Idols. You guys are fantastic. So thank you very much for that.
We on?
Yes, sir. Number 9.
God, no, I'm hurt.
All right,
Fine.
boys. I don't know if you've included this or not, but this is the one album on my list where I can confidently say I don't love every song. It is Charlie XCX's Brat. This is a movement. She took over from I don't know June, July to now. Like she just hosted SNL. She's headlining Primavera, sub-headlining Coachella. She's having an absolute moment right now. The album itself, while every song doesn't hit for me, I recognize the importance of it all. I asked Roz this question because you're like our DJ guy. I was like, I remember back in the day when this electro pop like dance club music was really hitting. And I was like, did anyone ever make an album? Because like you remember like a Calvin Harris song or like, whatever. It was never like you were listening to an album, and maybe that was just the time it was. But like this is insane. Like to put this together, AG Cook does an insane job on production. She's just wicked, man. She writes some great songs. It feels real. That's what I really love about it, rather than traditional pop music that's just like fucking garbage. Like, I'll see you on the dance floor. Tonight's the night. This is gonna be the best night of our life. That kind of shit. She's like, I hate Taylor Swift. I don't like Lorde either. You girls on the Red Scare podcast are weird. Like, there's a whole. It is like, do I want to have a baby? Like, there's a whole lot of like really cool stuff in it, and it might not be my favorite Sonic experience, but like, there's no doubting it was the cultural movement, I think, in terms of albums this year.
No, I completely agree. It's a great pick. I think the main key, like you said, the word is movement. Like it's the album is not an album. It's like its own kind of like entity.
Yeah.
Like Brat Summer, Brat Fall. I'm sure there's a Brat Winter coming up, and maybe even a Brat Spring for all we know. But it's just, I remember I was so turned off from this album when you showed it to me, and it's like you said, you're right. Electronic music usually works as singles because it's kind of exhausting as a full album. Like you said, back in the day, AJ Cook, like you said, AJ Cook, he did this whole thing where he took the old 2010s and made kind of pop music with it. And that's kind of the new aesthetic that's big right now.
Huge.
It's huge. And no, I was a huge hater on Charlie. And then I got into it because I was thinking that she was going into a studio and doing songs and getting auto-tuned because she can't sing, and it was getting pumped out by some kind of company. But when you realize that it was actually watching her Boiler Room set, that she's just having a good time.
Yeah.
She's real as shit. She enjoys it. She's using autotune as a almost just like to make her music sound
It's
that way
hyperbop,
because
man.
She needs it. Yeah, it's a part of the
she loves
genre.
autotune. She just
That's what
does
she's
it.
doing, and she's consistent with it, and she's having a good time, and she's real. So there's a lot going on there, and that is a great pick. No, Charlie XCX. I won me over this year. Won me over.
We had many arguments about her last album.
Oh man,
I ended up being like, you failed her recent album, and I gave it an 8. But I mean, I think it's somewhere in the middle. Ultimately,
Yeah,
there was a huge thing about how like she didn't write her own music, and I was like, Ross, she writes her own music, and I think we're on the Coachella grounds, and I was just
look all these fucking credits on your Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Listening, I went back. It's like she's on all of it. It's not
Yeah,
somebody else. You can
yeah.
hear her. And just like, I swear to God, like watching the Boiler Room, she's just having the time of her life. I'm like, this girl just gets what she's doing.
well, she's just
Yes.
having fun with it, right?
Oh, she was on the
Yeah.
kind of pop song.
Yeah.
I don't care. She's been around forever.
I love it.
Well,
Yeah, I love
that's
it.
what I was gonna say. Is just like maybe couldn't happen to a better person. Like she's put
Yeah,
in,
Real.
yeah, that's a
she's
great
put in
point.
the work. A lot of people have loved her stuff, and she's never like she's kind of climaxed at like a
Yeah,
certain
you hit
level.
a feeling in a way.
Yeah, and then like we see this, like you guys use the word movement, and I think that's the right one. Like it's not going to be on my top 10, but I strongly considered adding it just because of its
Yeah.
influence. I really did. But again, going back to what we talked about before, like this brings people together. People love it.
Yeah.
Like she's killing it. She's having an amazing time. Seeing her DJ sets is super cool. So props to her, and it's a good pick. And I think on other album of the year lists, it's going to be like near the top. Or
I think you'll see this as number 1 on a lot of lists, because like the major publications deal with so much of the public, and like they're promoting festivals and they're dealing with artists, and they have to think of the cultural movement a lot more than just the music. Like, in terms of like who had the biggest year, she's number 1.
Like as far as impacts,
impact
like,
on
yeah.
impact on music. Like you could
Mhm.
fucking Kamala Harris had brat election.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, she was using it. Like
Yeah.
that's insane. Like and it seems worldwide too a little bit. Like, you know, I've been a fan of hers for a while and I overrated her
You must
last
feel
album.
so validated though. Like
But all I needed was your validation. Well, not your validation, your realization that I was right.
she's an industry plant.
Yeah, yeah.
Plant. Not real. She's CGI.
So yeah, like I mean, I think a lot of people will personally put this higher. Like one of the guys we like following, like Fantano, gave this a 10 out of 10 album. Like
That was. I remember you said that. And I was like, oh, and I
So,
watched
like,
the whole thing. Yeah. it's
which
great.
I think is what makes us kind of different is that we're judging almost on what we'd like. We don't get the cultural impact. We
We're
don't
trying to
have-
be objective. Yeah.
we're
good.
trying to
We're
look
trying.
at things more so than like selling out stadiums and, you know, becoming big. And like you said, man, God love her, man. I'm so happy it happened to her because even she writes songs on this album about like, does she want to be on the Billboard charts? Do I want to be popular? Like, I don't want to interact with Taylor Swift. Like, there's so many cool nuances to the album. It feels real. She feels real.
It's
And-
good for the pop movement too, right? Like she's
great.
she's
Yeah.
right
Fresh.
there with like Sabrina Carpenter, who springboarded this year
Yeah.
kind of out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Who's like a Barbie doll, and then you look at Charlotte, and she's just wearing like a long sweater, and she's just like doesn't give a shit. She's just so cool.
Yeah.
And may I just add, is she's the only mainstream pop artist I've seen drop a remix album that not only is a pure true remix album,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
every song is different than the original, but it's a really good
album.
It's
Yeah.
there's songs on that album that I like more than like
It's
the-
Brat, but it's not Brat
Yeah, but
because it's
not
different.
Brat. It's so perfectly articulated too. Like it's and then
I was actually blown away when I listened to it
It's
because I was
amazing.
just like, I understand that probably wouldn't have been as popular without Brat. Like if she just dropped the Brat remix, it might
She
not
wouldn't have got Billy and
wouldn't have got-
Ariana.
You don't just get that. So
No.
like the success of Brat springboarded her into being able to make that album. And it's just very cool, man. I love seeing people I've liked on the come up get the recognition they deserve. And hopefully some other bands that I really love
as we
will
keep
get there.
going,
Maybe
Yeah.
something about what we're doing. Maybe we get like that.
Maybe we have an eye on the
Yeah.
talent.
Perhaps. So
Maybe not Rob.
remember that. Well, we'll see. All right. So I'm next. This next one is my number 9. This band had a big impact on me. English Teacher. This could be Texas. This album, I still listen to it not almost daily. Like I said in my review, it's like indie rock, but there's such a unique character to it. Like I said, the spoken word of the lead vocalist and it's just so great. I found that I wanted to put it higher on my list, but I just feel like it just seems like there's still like I think I sent you guys this. There's a concert they're doing and she fucks the microphone up. She like drops the microphone. Like it just seems like they're still a bit raw
Yeah.
to go higher, but it's all there. Like the sound is there,
Yeah.
the talent is there. The album is basically a not skip, but I think there's big things in their future, and it's my number 9.
And I think that's one of the like awesome things about them. This is a
Yeah.
debut album.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can
yeah.
feel you can feel like them shaking on
Yeah,
stage.
like they
right?
got
Like,
together, I think in 2020.
Yeah,
And like I've seen like plenty of people say like artist of the year,
Yeah,
new artist
absolutely.
of the year,
Absolutely.
or like top album.
Well, they won the Mercury Prize, which is
Yeah.
a huge
Huge
British
over there.
award.
Yep.
Yeah, and the lead singer's hair is super cool.
Yeah.
That always listen. If you
Adds-
that's point.
No, they're a fantastic band. They just really they feel different, but not too different.
That British sound to it. Like I can't
Yeah.
put my finger on the way they do the rock music over there. But
I
there's
think
something
what I
to it.
love about the album is just it's like it's got to be 12 or 15 tracks in that range.
Yeah.
And I don't think one song sounds the same as
So
the other.
different.
Yeah, it's
So different.
very
And-
diverse. Yeah,
And but like it never feels like you're jumping all over the place either. Like the songs flow together, but no song sounds the same.
No.
And that's a really difficult thing to accomplish.
Yeah. No,
yeah. I think they do a better job of it than some other albums we've heard this year.
Yeah.
You know what
oh,
I mean?
definitely.
I think I got it wrote down. I think it's into 54 minutes or something like that.
Yeah,
but
it's close and we don't
Doesn't get
like
boring.
albums that
Yeah.
get long.
yeah, they're getting testy.
if you
there.
Or
go-
I don't.
If you go over an hour, words will be said about you.
Very rarely you can go over an hour and
then
please
we won't
TSR.
say something. Yeah.
No, I got nothing else to add. It's good.
My turn, number 9. Okay, at 13 songs, 43 minutes. I did a reel on this one. Jack White, No Name. So Jack White, I mean, for the past what, like say 5 to 10 years, he's been experimenting a lot. He's been changing his sound quite a bit. Like I'd be lying when I said like there's a new Jack White album coming that I was like super pumped because it's kind of like you don't know what to expect, right? He's a super creative guy, and like you want to scratch those itches, someone as popular as him. But by God, when I listened that first time, man, it's excellent. It really goes back to like the early White Stripes days, and even like maybe the first Raconteurs album. I guess like I mean I can't read Jack White's mind there, but I guess he kind of just all right, let's go back to what made me successful. And I really think that a lot of these songs, like maybe over time or whatnot, like when you're popular and you're an up and comer, I feel like the songs hit, like they hit more. I think some of the songs on this album are just as good as better than some of those like previous ones. Like obviously like the hardest button to button. Uh thinking you saying it. What's the
Well, the
Seven
Seven
Nation
Nation Army. That's the
Seven
White
Nation
Stripes.
Army?
I thought you were talking about Jack White's.
I think yeah, the new one. Yeah.
Yeah, like I feel like the songs on this album like rival that, and he has this like innate ability to like write these super catchy riffs that like drag you in, but like if they were easy to do, everybody would be doing it, right?
Exactly.
And
yeah.
that's what I feel listening to it. I'm like, man, how does he think of that? Like it's so catchy, it's so sweet. Like why didn't anybody else think of it, right? And like his voice is as good as ever. I think he's 49 years old. Um, a few years ago, I saw him live. Me and Miller, and I think his girlfriend at the time, we saw him live. And
Shout out to
Shut up,
Miller's
baby.
ex-girlfriend.
Shut up,
no, no,
Miller's
still
ex-girlfriend.
together.
They're still together.
Shout
I
out
confirmed last
shout-
week they're
shout
still
out to
together.
Miller's girlfriend.
Shout out to Jordan. Shout out to Jordan.
Jordan, yes. I
Um,
knew that.
but yeah, like at this point in my life, I had seen a lot of live music,
Sure.
and I was blown away by how good he was, and it just makes me think of how awesome it is gonna be to hear him play these. He's playing in Toronto in February, I think, at like what's that place called? Is it History?
Air Canada Center.
No, it's like smaller.
There's a place called History. I've been-
History,
I've
yeah,
been
there
to
is,
History a
yeah.
bunch.
Smaller
I was just
venues,
thinking a stupid joke.
which
good
is gonna
joke.
make it that much sweeter. And yeah, I mean, I think like start to finish, it's an excellent run through. It's a really good album.
I have very little to say about this album other than it's the best he's sounded. Period.
Yeah.
I think I other than the White Stripes, I mean like his solo work, this is the best he's ever sounded.
Mhm.
Maybe it's on par with like his debut where he was just basically making White Stripes Raconteurs music. But like you said, it's just he got away from it and then he's just like, you know what? I think I'm gonna do that stuff. And you know, some old heads will probably come at me. Well, they won't. They probably won't listen to this, but
Hey,
but I think he's the best guitar player.
ever?
Period.
Ever.
I think he's no. Like I'll say the current best
Okay.
guitar player. Like I'm sure there's some great 80s, 90s like that hair metal stuff, but like he just has the best vibe. He knows how to play a riff, got that bluesy stuff. He just carries a band on his own between playing the guitar and singing and writing. He produces, he does it all. He's a damn good musician.
He's an auteur, they say. It's like he has control of all the aspects. And I didn't give this one a lot of listens when it came out, but I did a reel about the cool way he kind of put it out to like to his record store, and only a couple people had it at first and built some hype around it. But I gave it a lot of listens further on. And I will say what you said, that his innate ability to take just like the bluesy scale, and he's a fantastic guitar player, like you said, and then just create simple, catchy stadium rock as he sees fit. Like he can take, you said, he'll just take a melody and it's catchy. It's how he did Seven Nation Army. It's how he's doing songs on this album. He just, not only is he a talented guitarist, and that is his own thing where you can be technically good, he can also make it simple and catchy at the same time. He's the full package.
Yeah, and I think
Supreme talent.
a lot of what we're going to talk about today is really technical, like bands, like looking at the finer details, twisting them how they can. Like look at Chromacopia we just did, like exhausting everything they can to like add a layer. And like he does that in his solos because he just like let him off the leash and go, and he just like just
'Cause
whips
no one
it.
else can do it.
But like his normal riffs in his songs are just so simple, so catchy, and there's something to say about that.
Well, I was gonna say, people think of like technicality as complex. There's actually a lot of technical skill involved to kind of minimize something into a catchy riff. A catchy riff is not easy. It takes
No.
a lot of skill in the back to create something that's like really digestible and that's really catchy like that. So no, he's just so much talent, honestly.
Okay, number
Good.
8. Yep.
Damn.
Number 8. All right. I don't honestly want to say too much about this because I'm expecting it, Mr. Rito here to have it higher. Um,
I know what it is already.
it's the Smiles, Wall of Eyes. This is a incredible album. The best I can say about this is if you know TSR, or at least you know me and Rito, we love Radiohead. They are my favorite band. I don't know if they're quite his, but
Yeah, they are.
they are. But they just are mesmerizingly skilled. They do everything right. I beg for them to come back. And when A Light for Attracting Attention dropped, I just thought it was a B-side. So what I can say about Wall of Eyes is that it feels like its own band. Although when you hear Tom York sing, it's like, that's Radiohead. But as a big fan, I can say it's very different. The signatures, the drumming, everything is just a little bit different. It's like they're coming into their own. They're making a lot of music, which downgraded this a bit for me. Dropping the second album, the B-sides. If they dropped the B-sides, I would have been like, okay. But if you drop another album, it almost makes you feel like, it's like, are you really into your first album? Like, do you have that with meaning? And big lyric guy, big meaning guy. So it dropped it a little. I gave it an 8.8 or an 8.7.
Got really good, yeah, all
Seven.
this, yeah.
Yeah. So like this is a few pegs down from me from when I heard it. It was also an early year album. I think they dropped it in January or something like that.
Super. It was like our third or fourth review of the year.
So yeah, I just like, everything that's ever been said about Tom and Johnny still holds true, but I think this album shows that they can be a different band as well. And that's what I love about it.
For sure. And like they're doing so much different with the Smile than they do with Radiohead, right? Like Radiohead, they have an album like every 5+ years. Everything, like, not saying the Smile isn't, but everything's like super calculated, like no B-side albums. You know what I mean? Like they've been together, what, 3 years now, and they have 3 albums. So there's a lot of different stuff going on. Just like song by song, it's still very good. You know what I mean? Like they
Like technically good. Like it's skillful
yeah.
music making.
I think Tom and Johnny will go down as
Like the best-
two of the best musicians of all time. Like there's no question about it
It's like
between
Paul
Radio.
Johnny and why am I having a brain fart here?
John Lennon.
John Lennon. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a
The
dynamic
Beatles.
duo.
Have you heard of them?
Beatles. Yeah, dynamic duo.
Sorry.
Right? Oh, they're good. But are you good?
No, like I just think they continue to build their legacy too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like in a different way, and we're all longing for that Radiohead reunion.
Please.
But it
It's impacting our travel
It-
plans.
more than-
It's like I'm going to double Coachella, but not until Radiohead headlines.
Coachella.
I'll be like 80 years old. Like, oh wait, they'll be very dead.
It's Malone. Radiohead, I don't think.
You're not in Radiohead.
I'll
Yeah.
finish in saying this, like Pitchfork is pretty hard to get good.
They're pretty.
Yeah,
They're pretty
they put their nose
pretty
up to the-
stingy.
Yeah.
Boys call me Reed Fork often.
Reed Fork. Reed Fork.
But they have 2 albums in 1 year with 8 or above, which is damn impressive for that metric.
Yeah, the objective skill cannot be denied. Like the guys, like they've been in the game forever, and whatever switch up or whatever flip switch for them to beat the Smile now and to have all this success and this critical acclaim and then commercial acclaim is like it's working. Like they're obviously musical geniuses. I don't have much to add. I think the album it's just objectively really good and polished, and they do a lot of interesting ideas, and like the playing is very technical, and it just Tom is obviously an angel sent down, just sing to us. So I just have a kind of question is I'm also a Radiohead fan, not as much as you guys. My first time seeing them was Two Sweet Reviews initiation when we all became Two Sweet Reviews.
Well, you were at O'Shea, weren't you?
I was, but like not
You weren't
I
really
wasn't
there.
going to a show. I was just like, oh, you guys are here. And I'll
You were floating away in the
sit on
sky.
this there. I'm
Physically there.
come sit on this there hill over there and watch
Getting my hair played with on
yeah,
the field.
and watch Tom York go, oh, Disclosure can't make it's a terrible Tom accent.
No, that's not even close.
But I'll go, Disclosure can't make it. We'll do Creep, and I'll go, man, they do Creep every time. I'm sure that's awesome. They're doing Creep right now.
Creep Karma Police as an encore.
What a
And
nuts.
he's like, man, I was like, I'm so glad they played Creep. You're like, they played Creep every time. I was like, they played Creep like once this year.
They hate Creep. I'm like, what? So anyway, no, but the boys are obviously mega talented. What do you guys think? Moving to the small, like who's the driving force? Is it Tom, or do you think it's
I think Tom and Johnny
Is it
are
Johnny?
like
Yeah.
conjoined twins.
they just can't? Yeah, they can't help
They
themselves.
they share a brain.
Can't help themselves. They're just making
Yeah,
heat.
that's my opinion. I think they walk into a studio and they just know how to make music
Yeah.
together. They just riff off each other.
Really good.
I think that's what slows down Radiohead is because nothing against Tom Skinner, but like I just don't know if he has any really input on the technical side of where he's a great drummer, but is he inputting ideas? I'm not sure. But like when Radiohead makes music, they have 6 people in the band, 5 people in the band, and every single guy gets a say. So and as well as Nigel, their producer gets a say. So that's why it takes so long for them to make an
Yeah,
album.
It's like the goddamn bureaucracy. It's like
Yeah.
getting all this red tape. I just want to make
You
music.
feel that in Radiohead though,
Yeah.
right? Like I mean, one song has great drumming, one song has a sick bass line. It's not a Tom show. Radiohead isn't. They're a band. But to Smile, although it's a threesome, it really feels like their chance to just do what they want to do.
Would you call it? This might be a strong term. Would you call it like a vanity project? Like we can just kind of do our own thing and we don't have to really deal with people's opinions. We can just kind of do what we think about all the time on the tour bus when we're going around, kind of thing. Or are they just kind of having fun?
I don't know if I call like vanity seems bad.
I know, but I feel
Yeah.
like it's like we have a vision, but we don't want to deal with having to try to
I think the
water it
reason they're
down.
not making music is because the other guys want to have their chance to make their solo albums. I think that's what it is.
That's fair. Yeah.
And
It's not big
COVID
at all.
hurt too because like I think everyone else was all over the place, but Tom and Johnny were in the same place, and they got the drummer, and they just started making music, and suddenly there's a band. But maybe we'll never see from Radiohead again.
Yes, we will.
I think.
All right,
Speak it into existence.
that was my number 8.
Number 8. All right, my number 8. Moving on. This is one that we didn't review. I did a reel on it. This is very up my wheelhouse. This is Floating Points, Cascade. I remember Lundy wrote me. He said, "Roz, have you listened to Cascade yet?" Like, no, I haven't listened to Cascade yet. But I did.
Look at Lundy being ahead
Lundy
on
is-
the EDM.
Is the upper echelon of EDM now in Tuesday reviews. Unfortunately for me, it's my only thing. But so I listened to this album, and I gotta say, Floating Points is probably one of the best, if not the best, electronic musician on the scene right now. His ability to take the digital and create still something with so much life and so much soul and so much variation. It's an amazing technical album of electronic music. Like you're not getting sampling like a Jamie XX situation. He's just going like, listen, this is electronic music and you're getting electronics. This is what it is. And it's just dance. You can dance to it, but it's also you kind of can marvel at it and kind of just stare at it and not dance.
It's a
at all.
bit rigid,
There's a
no?
lot going on.
Like it's a bit rigid, kind of like robotic. Like
It
it's
is.
like
Yes,
it's like
it is, yeah.
digital in that way. Like like we talked about Jamie XX and you brought him up again. It's like it flows,
Yes.
but like this feels almost like
yeah, it
like,
does. Yeah, it's like
I'm making a robot.
Yeah,
thing
it's like-
for,
it's-
for everyone who's listening on audio.
It's like making a Frankenstein robot. He has like his synthesizer, and he's like, I'm gonna use it within the constructs of this in this box. I'm gonna create this sound,
Yeah.
and it's just extremely impressive that what he can do with the tools he has. So,
Agreed.
yeah,
Good.
it's great.
Just Roz creating something in Earl's basement. Just
Basically the same thing.
I don't have too much to add here. I did listen to it. You're really getting into the technical,
Yeah.
the technical
Yeah, you need
it's
you marvel
very,
at this,
yeah.
and it's one of those things that we don't quite understand. I'll say that for you. It's just like I guess it's not that you don't understand what the output is. It's just like we don't understand how it's made.
Yeah.
Like I know what a guitar is, but like I don't know how to use your little Mac board.
Modular synthesis
Yeah.
power that he's plugging things
He's
into
super
and
good. I
doing
just
and-
remember like it fired me up at the gym one night, and I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Roz would love this. Yeah, yeah. It's just good. It's just really good. I mean, I think we're on the same page that we don't love music that doesn't have lyrics. We get a little.
which is fair, totally.
I think it's get a little lost in it, and it's not that we don't actually. It's not that we don't like it. It's that we don't often listen to
You're
it.
not
We
gonna
don't
throw it on. You're
gravitate
not
it
throwing
to it.
on.
So it's a box that doesn't get ticked, but that's I mean it's right up your alley.
I gotta just send my appreciation. And I find it's very like going back to the Jack White thing where it takes a lot of skill to take a guitar and then just like and then just make something simple and catchy. Floating Points can take a synthesizer and he's making danceable stuff with just like a freaking with one noise.
That's a really interesting
You know
point
what I
because I've
mean?
never
He's-
really thought about it that way.
The movement he's creating, he's basically taking something that should be technically just like math, and you're like, what the hell is this? And making it danceable, which
Yeah.
is like a huge talent to be able to do.
Great album.
So number 8.
Number
Yeah.
8. Number 8. Okay.
Okay, computer.
Okay.
So hot take time. Time for
I
love it, I
love
love
it.
Time.
maybe one of the biggest hot takes TSR history.
Hottest take in history.
Wow.
Scalding take.
Maybe the hottest. At number 8, I have Kendrick's GNA.
Hey, I like it. I like it.
This.
So okay, so this album came out yesterday
Yeah.
about this time. In my rankings, I had a little bit of a gap there in what I'll say quality. A little bit of a gap between the 2 I had and the 7 after, and it was the perfect opportunity
Love it.
to drop
Drop it
this in
in.
here. TSR historians will look back on this maybe fondly, maybe not.
Look at the hieroglyphs on the wall. Like, what the hell is that guy doing?
Oh.
This was very much a Kendrick Lamar year, even if it was about this album or not. He's leading up to the Super Bowl, which he is the main attraction there. He had the big feud with Drake this year. He was in the spotlight. He had #1 hits, the whole thing. Like it was a major thing, which, as I said, like kind of with the Charlie and Taylor versus everybody, like feuds are good, man, for the industry. Feuds are good. It gets people talking, gets people listening,
Gets the
paying
people
attention.
going.
And like I know
Talkative.
I loved all of that.
Means.
On the album alone, I listened to it a couple times yesterday, and it's fucking crisp. It's crisp. It's excellent. I might mess up the songs. What is
So
it?
new. Like, how could you not?
Whacked out murals.
Whacked Out Murals. So on that one alone, he's so angry.
Part 6. Resurrection.
Yeah, hold on now.
TV off.
Whacked Out Murals.
Trying to help the podcast along.
Wait your turn, buddy. Wait your turn.
So he comes on like song 1, and he's just angry. He got this like West Coast. Apparently, he only got the beat for that like a few days ago. See all this stuff on social media, which social media is just a boom now with this. My algorithm is right-wing politics due to Elon and Kendrick rap comments. But so yeah,
And only those two things.
so he comes on there and he's just angry, and he's given his like opinion on the industry, how he operates, how other people operate, and like his feeling towards it. And he's basically like, guys, do your thing, be real, and if people are gonna love you, they're gonna love you. If they're gonna not love you, like that's just part of it. But be real, be true to yourself, and that's how we should all operate. And there's lots of folks in the industry that do not do that. They try to be friendly with everybody. They try to, like so many feuds and so many like fake friendships, so much fake stuff on the go. One thing with Kendrick is he doesn't hide behind anything. Like he name drops, right? So like in Whacked Out Murals, right off the bat, he like kind of subtly calls out Lil Wayne because he like complained about the Super Bowl thing. He made a comment about Snoop because Snoop shared one of
Talking shit his own people. This is the West Coast. This is West Coast.
well, that's why he was upset, right? Because Snoop shared one of the freestyles from Drake, and he was like, he made a joke. He's like, I was hoping it was the edibles, and I had to let that go. And then Snoop replied on social media yesterday and said it was the edibles.
Oh, thank
Ah,
God.
Snoop.
An excuse. Thank God.
Thanks for giving me the out, Kendrick.
Thanks for the weed.
The other thing about the mural too was like
We're on song 1,
I think in September,
How many times?
like 10.
Kendrick had a mural that was like defaced.
He did, yeah.
So like that's where it comes from. Otherwise, like he promotes a lot of like indie West Coast rappers. Like you don't actually see it on the track list, but there's lots of them in there.
You don't promote him that good.
SZA is in there on a couple of tracks, does an excellent job. He does like a throwback Tupac song, Reincarnated, which like uses a beat from an old song, and it's banger.
Banger.
He was pissed because Drake talking shit about Pac, right? Or what was the thing there?
Pac bought or
He
Drake
Pac
bought
AI Pac or something. Didn't he use like a Pac voice or something?
Yeah,
He did a deep fake on.
Yeah, deep fake Pac, and then Kendrick's like,
and Drake bought Tupac's ring that he had, and Kendrick didn't like that.
no. I
So
wouldn't say.
that's been a big thing, and that song is actually awesome. He has like a DJ Mustard produces on there, and he has lots of banger tracks. So TV Off is another one that's like he didn't put Not Like Us on the track list, which is very interesting because it was so huge. But I sent you that thing earlier about Fantano talking about TV Off, where it's like another like banger track, kind of like similar thing going on, and that one's sick. It came out yesterday. Already love it. I think it may even grow as time goes on. Like I think it's very possible. It came at a very challenging time for us today as we're prepping for this
Absolutely.
podcast.
How dare he do that?
But he's at the top of his game, man. He like I don't think there's any doubt that he's the best in the game. I actually I feel a lot of Eminem influence on this album. On the Reincarnated one, he's doing like a bad versus evil. Like
yeah,
like
guilty conscience type thing.
Yeah, guilty conscience type thing. And there's plenty of times that he's rapping throughout where like he's changing his voice and he's giving a different like kind of look to the song, which is something Eminem did a lot, right? Like
well, he had the character. He had Slim Shady, so
exactly.
Yeah.
And which we often say, Kendrick just spits, right? Like there's no back doors with him.
Yeah.
There's no mumble, there's no auto tune. Like he just gives it direct. And in 2024, like let's go.
Best voice in the game, man.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so that's it. That's my hot take.
I'll just add just early listens. It didn't make my list, but I didn't want to take the risk that you did because I love my 10 albums already. But I'll just say didn't love Mr. Morale. Obviously the Untitled wasn't that great. Absolutely loved Damn, and I think this could be better than that. I need some time with it. It's not going to pass Good Kid or T-Pab, but it's definitely in the realm of how great he's ever sounded. And nice return to form for me.
I definitely had a conversation with you when I came here saying like Kendrick, he's the best he's ever been. And like, but when has he ever been bad? Like, does he have a bad album that came out, like a bad one? Like that would say, maybe some are better than others. Like maybe Damn is a bit less, and Mr. Morale, I know you don't like. I gave this one a couple passes. My biggest fear with TSR in general, not even this, and I'm sure you guys have it sometimes, is like the recency bias of it. It's like you listen to something now, like as we do this, top list, think of things that we did back in February. You really got to go dig back and will you get in that mindset, or does it sound like it used to?
Yeah.
Or things that you're hyped on right now, is that going to impact your overall? So I was almost too afraid to move the needle in that way, and I don't even think it would get there. But I did like what I heard, and it's a good pick. It's a very hot take pick too. So
no, I mean it's good. It's like we talked about it last night. It's like I'd rather be wrong and promote things that I'm feeling than be scared to like get something wrong. Like it's I respect it big time.
Definitely.
It's risky. Like I bumped
But
it.
is it risky? It's like,
I
oh,
think it-
Rito, pick
Unless
the
one-
new
one of
album.
he puts on a B-side and it's like the worst fucking song of all time.
I think there's way riskier picks. I think there's riskier is picking an album you don't love.
Kendrick is a darling, so I feel like he can't do no.
Yeah,
Yeah, feels like he can do no wrong right now, right?
By the time this comes out, like the other people, it'll be a couple weeks older.
Yeah, they
He's
might
probably
love
gonna
it.
be on like Diddy's list or something, and then who knows?
Hopefully not. God.
That'd be really
You ready to
rough.
finally get the 7?
Finally, let's go.
All right. Number 7 for Lundy, Mannequin Pussies, I Got Heaven. This is just a really great punk rock experience. Love the album from first go. It's super high energy. It's really horny. She's like really lonely, loves like leaning into that sort of thing, but it's not like Blink 182 on the nose, like take your pants off type thing. Like you really got to understand what she's saying. Like Split Me Open's like such a good song at the end.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's so subtle, like what she's saying. And I always loved the album. And then when I seen her live and her ability to go from subtle, seductive low to this high energy scream and like command my attention from a video, which is not really that easy. I think she's incredible.
So Lonnie, that's a great pick. We actually watched the same video, the same performance, but she does have a commanding presence. I found that her energy. Sometimes you have bands with like front people that they are born to be what they are. They're like musicians, and she's so great in that way. Her control of her voice, of her, like you hear it on the album, but hearing her guttural screams coming from her throat and then going to a soft, like you said, supple kind of dynamic. How are you not blowing your vocal cords? I don't know how she can do it longevity wise, but
it's so weird too. Like band we love, like Turnstile, like he sounds the same screaming as he does singing.
Yeah.
She sounds like
two different people.
There you go.
She's like
Thank you.
people.
Yeah.
No, she is. But as an album, I actually laughed listening to it for this. It almost sounds like a breakout album, but like it's like their 5th or 6th album. They've been around. She's like 30 something.
Yeah, but she started the whole thing out as a solo.
I see. Yeah.
And this is the first album, maybe second album with the crew that she's with now.
Yeah.
So in a way, it's a debut.
Yeah. I kind of like lumped her in with like English Teacher, like this new upcoming band, but they've been fucking, she's been, chewing her teeth for a while, but no, great pick. The album is fantastic. A lot of songs from 2023 in this one, which kind of annoyed me when I was.
Yeah, they really leaned that out.
They did, but no, the album's great. Being able to validate or be validated by how good it is live makes you want to see them as well. Yep. So I'm hoping that down the line, haven't seen them. Are they on the Coachella poster?
No, they toured a lot last year.
Yeah. So yeah, they're almost like.
This is a pretty early year album.
Very early year.
Yeah.
It's one of our first, I think, because I think we started the year with like an album.
It was we did. Yeah, it was Benny Blanco. Not Benny Blanco.
Yeah, like it's a very tidy 10 songs, 30 minutes. I think the strength is what you guys have talked about. Just her ability to like go from that okay, like back to like the angelic, like softer sound, and it's a very nice front to back listen.
You get a mosh pit, then you get like a slow dance. It's like it's probably a weird live environment, honestly.
It's just really compact and really good. Like all the songs are pretty short. It's probably like 10, 12 songs over 30 minutes, something like that.
There's no misses.
No, it's not. It's not like it doesn't blow you away with something you've never heard of before, but like it's so solid.
Yeah.
It's just solid.
A lot of music I find we're not always like, it's not like we're always trying to find the weird, the new, or the fresh. There's something about solid fundamentals, like a solid album in its lane that will come up multiple times today. That is, there's something to say for that too. So
agreed.
So this is so my number 7. This is actually this will be a quick and dirty one because it's actually The Smile, Wall of Eyes. I think we've said everything we had to say.
Yeah, let's just pass
For me,
because we're going to talk about this again.
Exactly. Yeah. So technical ability.
I'm pretty confident we're going to talk about it again.
Probably, yeah. But technical ability, really good in my top 10.
I think we'll have that, and it might speed things along. Maybe.
Yeah.
We might have some overlap, but
Definitely.
I think the best we've said what you wanted to say on mine.
I've said,
and we'll let it go.
And I feel like it may go up again. So yeah,
I might be wrong.
I'm okay.
We'll see. So yeah, number 7, Wall of Eyes. Small.
Okay.
Not to read.
Number seven. So this is the first time I think we're gonna hear about this out of our trio here. MJ Lenderman banning fireworks. So this was a big one for TSR. One of the highest rated of the year. I think it was 8.5 overall. This was a big Lundy darling. He
Musical man crush, I call it.
Yes.
Musical. Man crush.
Yeah, he
Completely
talked
cool.
about him a lot in the group chat, and obviously he's with Wednesday. He's had previous solo works. Like he's involved, and at 25 years of age, that's incredibly impressive. Like he's building a resume and a backlog, kind of like TSR, and an impressive one at that.
Very
For
impressive.
basically the
TSR.
exact same.
And there was a lot of expectation from him going into this album, especially after his previous successes. And I went into it like not really knowing a lot, like too much about him. Like I knew like who he was and stuff like that, but he has his own like very very unique sound. Like he does his thing. Like we joked about like the slacker rock mantra or whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
And it took a little bit for me personally, but it really won me over.
Mhm.
And like that song for me, I know like you guys, I know you especially, you're not really a mood type listener, but for me, like morning listen or like chill listen, like I throw on MJ. Like it's
For me, it's a kick your feet up in the sun and drink a beer listen, but it's fantastic.
yeah, it's great. Has like I think like the first 5 or 6 songs are all like super quality. I think in my review I said like 3 or 4 of them is the best run of the year. He has a lot left to come, and like promoting this album on its own, I think is going to elevate him to higher levels.
Yeah.
But very impressed by this guy. A couple of songs are like top notch, excellent, some of the best of the year, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's next.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Yeah, this is my dude. Shout out our boy Jack Thompson. He recommended us to listen to boat songs. I don't think we ever dove into it, but he got me on the MJ Lenderman train. Wednesday was my number one album of last year.
And the Turnstile Train. We owe a
Yeah,
lot to Jack.
yeah,
Thompson.
we should
So,
listen to Jack more often.
Jack Thompson.
But yeah, I got him on Wednesday by saying, "Hey, Wednesday is," and he went and seen them in Vancouver, and he's like, "That was fantastic," kind of thing. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep it a little high level. I'm gonna talk about this album in a little bit, but he's my dude, and he has huge things to come.
Yeah. I may also be talking about this at a high level. So I'm just gonna like use this as a way to segue back to what I was talking about, where there's a beauty in the fundamentals, whereas he's not reinventing the wheel, but what he's doing it very well in the confines of what he's doing it in, which is to this. What would you say, like a folk rock?
Yeah, it's kind of like
Americana.
It's a little heavier than
Yeah.
Americana, maybe.
Yeah.
Like his riffs are just
Just
great.
solid,
I
solid.
kind of, it's not the same heaviness as Jack White, but
Mhm.
there's like a similar feeling in that you just know how to curate a riff.
Well, he's from North Carolina. He's from like the small town North Carolina. It'd be like from what I've read through our review, like he just had never really lost. His head never really inflated. He still has that kind of small town kind of like.
Well,
vibe to
his
it.
only app on his phone is the beer
he
app.
Just kind of like has that kind of
Like I love that.
yeah, he has that Carolina twang to him, and he's just so laid back, and a lot of Wednesday, obviously flows through that. But no, he does what he does well, and
And like the best that do it like have like matched their voice to the music. He does it so well with like his like kind of like
laid back, lazy. It's like
Yeah,
like,
one of my favorite things is I chat with my cousin a lot about music, and he's big into like the punk rock type thing. And I sent him this album to listen to. He listened to it once. He said, "That ain't for me." Like 2 weeks later, he came back. He said, "That album's so good."
Yeah.
It's just like it's a very subjective vocal.
Yeah.
And I think once you get it, it really pours in how great his music is, because like you can kind of get lost in the little twang that he has going on, but yeah, great guy.
I don't want to deconstruct it anymore because maybe it'll happen again.
but I will.
It's like this, like the the subject matter and the stories he weaves and the characters he creates. There's a
Yeah.
lot going on. So I'll leave it at that for now.
All right. We're almost halfway through and we we are definitely behind time.
Yeah, it's
Um,
gonna be a long episode.
Okay, so I'm going to try to keep this one short and sweet because I honestly don't have a whole lot to say about it. It's in the similar vein as Reed's choice of Kendrick. My number 6 is The Cure's Songs of a Lost World. Been a big fan forever. This is a band that, if you know me, I dove into a lot of the new wave post-punk bands, New Order, Depeche Mode, that sort of thing when we went to Primavera. But Cure has always been in my discog. This just feels right. Didn't love their last couple albums. It's been 15 years. Robert Smith is 65. It's just like you would never listen to it and feel like this band came from the 70s and 80s. And you would also never say that he's 65. And both of those things are incredible. Their use of interludes is so fun. Like, sometimes people drag those interludes out and it's like, all right, get to the song. But it feels like for some reason, maybe it's because I love them, but they nail it every single time. Every time I'm like, all right, get to it, he comes in. It's like he just has a knack for it. Yeah, just really, really cool. I think the same way I said that Blur was going to finish on their last album, I think this is going to be it. I think it's over. And he really touches on some grief, ending, that sort of stuff in both his personal life and his band career. This is just a fantastic album. Really, really good quality. Love seeing old dudes come back and make good music rather than just fan service, make some money.
I'll keep it short and sweet. I gave it a couple listens, and I'm not someone that knows a lot about The Cure. You've told me to listen to Disintegration a few times, and it's still there on my downloads. But I was really impressed by my couple listens, and I was hoping you were going to add it in here, just because like the end of the year gets a bit dicey, as you mentioned on your reel there, that it's like really been praised as like a top notch album. So I was hoping we get a chance to talk about it. I didn't dive kind of like deep enough to really give an in-depth, but like just strictly based on those couple, I was like, man, they really got a vibe going here.
Yeah.
And I tell you what was my actual experience. Like, you put the song on our 2024 possible list, and I listened and I said, holy shit, like 5 minutes of like intro.
It's like 10 minutes. End song's like 10 minutes.
It's called End Song.
Well, yeah, the intro was like 5 or 6. I was like looking on the
But it's
trunk,
a
like,
captivating
still-
5 minutes.
Yeah, but when you listen to like the album,
Get it.
you get it. It's
we
like,
talk about this. It's like some things are better in the full frame,
yeah.
right?
So like, yeah, I want to keep listening like throughout the year or whatever. But yeah, it's great. Nice pick.
I'll say something funny, but you just mentioned how it's like they have a vibe to them, but like they probably created the vibe.
Created by.
These guys, like these sounds, these New Order, Cure, like they are like the pioneers. So you touch on a lot of things that I really appreciate, where you say it's good to see a band first of all act their age, which is great.
Yeah.
Like they're at the tail end. They make it known that this might be the end. You think it is the end. They're not talking about. I had problems with like Dave Grohl and Foo Fighters talking about girls and breaking up with girlfriends and stuff. It's like, guys, you've talked about all this stuff.
Yeah.
Talk about death and coming to a close and coming to like your mortality and like just coming to like where you are right now, like after your career. There's something refreshing about an old band acting old. So these old bands putting Botox in and like acting like they're young bands, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not the biggest Cure fan, but I did listen to it and appreciated. Just obviously his voice is still great for being the age he is.
Yeah.
Like, his voice is great and his message is great. And no, it's a great album. So it's a good pick.
Yeah, I'll just sum this up and then let you go on. But like, there's an old adage from many years ago, and it's like the 50s and 60s had a ton of like what made music, but there's the 70s and 80s really morphed it into what we hear today. And for the longest time in those circles, it says that Robert Smith could write your music, but you could never write his.
Yeah.
And that just sums up how respected he is in the industry, what he's done. And yeah, it just continues on. And like I said, I didn't love their other output in the millennium, but this is incredible.
I wonder what like snapped him into like why they like went back to.
Well, I think it's like the opposite of, not to pick on the Smile, but like, you put two albums out in a year, but versus them who put an album out once every 15 years. So like someone like myself who loves them, you're so hyped for it.
Yeah,
So it is hard to take away that subjectivity.
you're building up a high.
So
yeah,
in
pressure.
that capacity, like this is my number 6. I told Reed earlier I had 6 albums that I felt like could be 1 or 2, and I put this at 6 because I don't really have enough time with it. Am I just being
Recency bias again.
a
yeah.
big fan, or is it real? So like this is the one album that I feel like could be my favorite, say, in hindsight. But it also, I don't think it gets any lower, so that's where I put it.
You were glowing too. You were saying how, as far as how it ranks as a Cure fan, it could be like one of their best.
Yeah, I mean,
albums,
aside
which is
from
like,
Disintegration and
this-
Wish, it seems
considering
like
they're-
it's hitting in their top 3
Yeah.
for most people.
and he seems like another thing that adds to it, and I'll just finish at this is like he seems like a great guy. Like he was the one talking about dynamic pricing. Like he's like
Yeah.
he's been around. When you have someone who's been on the music scene for decades and they're saying, ticket prices aren't right, we only charge this. Like he's a grounded individual. He could be making millions off a reunion tour, and he's not doing that. Like he's there for the music, and it shows in his work.
Gotta respect him for clinging to that hair too.
Yeah, oh yeah, he looks so funny. Anyways, moving on.
This is the part of the podcast where things start kind of aligning so that we won't have to say too much in some aspects. So
do.
my number 6 is Manning Fireworks, MG Letterman. So we touched on this a lot already, but like I said, he does the fundamentals perfect. This album is what it is. He's not doing any fancy things. He's not breaking out a harmonica or a synthesizer. He's just playing the guitar, and he is killing it. The way he weaves his stories and creates these kind of mopey, depressed losers in his work. Like every song is almost like a guy who's on like the end of his rope, and it could be it could be a metaphor for himself. But like wristwatch these kind of songs, like you know what I mean? Like that was a test. That was a test. You failed. You failed that test.
I failed.
You failed your test. But just him creating these losers, and I feel like I was listening, and I was like feeling bad for the people in the songs.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, there's an emotional connection there, which you're not getting a lot. And as we say, Lundy's like the lyric guy. I'm like the sonic guy. I'm like the music guy. So for lyrics to capture my imagination takes a lot, and he did it with this one. So yeah, that's my number 6.
Got nothing else to add, really.
Yeah, I'm just gonna let Reed go to his number 6.
Oh, let it go. Yeah, sure, we'll talk again.
Okay, another one we can probably skim through. English Teacher. This could be Texas. So, I guess to a couple points that we didn't cover before. To be a debut album, crazy impressive. I think we did say that. Tasteful addition of synth and strings. Again, they're zeroing in on the finer details and trying to elevate. And one thing I really, really appreciated on their songs was the bridges. Like I think specifically in their songs, like they'd stop and come with something new, like to bridge to the end, and I really like that. There is one in particular. I'll look at it. Blister My Paint, where she like really strips it down. Like I compared it to like a Gaga performance because I feel like it's right there, which is a bit strange. And Best Years of Your Life, the bridge on that is amazing. Like really strips it down to the piano, and it's very Radiohead-esque, actually. Not to, yeah.
Do you remember who compared him to Radiohead in his review? It might have been me.
It was me. It was me.
It was definitely me. No, you must have took my quote then.
I'm
gonna get this.
very interested to see what happens from them next.
Yeah,
Like I
no,
said,
agreed.
They're new on the scene, and to put that out as their first is very impressive.
And if you did, I did as well. I definitely did. But yeah, no, I'm with you there. A really fantastic album. I really got into a couple of their tunes. Just before they won the Mercury Prize, I put it on my what I couldn't stop listening to list, and then they won it like the next day. So, I said before, they've made a crazy album of like 10 to 12 songs. It's 55 plus minutes. Never loses my attention.
Mhm.
And it's so different across every song. I love it. Really good.
Agreed. Number 5.
No, I have one more thing to say. I have one thing to say about this about English teacher that I love in new bands. I feel they didn't do it as much back in the day, where like if you're British and you sing English, but they allow themselves to kind of have that accent pour in through spoken word or through their singing. They're not trying to like mask who they are or their culture, where they're from. They're just you can hear every little signature of what she sounds like in real life, like her accent. So I really appreciate that coming through in music. It adds character and personality. So I like
Yep,
that a lot.
I agree.
To the top five.
Doodle-doo-doo.
So we've talked about this twice now. This is MJ Linderman's Manning Fireworks for me at number 5. I'll just add that I find it feels easy for him, which makes me appreciate it more. He's just I made the chef comparison that can cook without a recipe. He just sits there. He knows where the riff goes, where the slide guitar goes, where he's supposed to amp up the volume, that sort of thing. And it's not mind-blowingly changing type rock, but he does it like anyone else. I honestly think that if rock takes off like it does, or like I hope it does, he'll be looked at as like the Bob Dylan type Neil Young of this generation.
No, definitely. I agree. Just to add, I don't have much to add because I just talked about him, but I will say that you say like he makes it look easy, and I feel that's a reflection on like it's who he is. Like it's his personality, it's his upbringing, it's his experience. He makes it look so easy because he's so himself. You know, he's not trying to fake a character or be anything like that.
I just also love like I'm so thankful for his media team to have paid attention to what we post. They liked our review of his album, they liked our stories,
Big fans.
and he just put out like a interview like a week before we posted our review. He's like, "Yeah, I'm not online. I just have the beer app," and I love that
Which is
about
a
him.
great app.
Yeah.
I have that app too.
So, shout out to MJ Lenderman's team for liking
are.
our shit.
Excellent.
5 for us.
5 for me. We're on top 5, guys. We are on top 5. So dumb, but we're on top 5. But listen, this is good. This is good. So this is like kind of a hot take. This next one is My Feeble Little Horse. My number 5 is Eels by Being Dead.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know how much I've been coloring this on our group chats. We have a group chat and we talk, but I love this album. When you
Nice.
put it on saying, hey, listen to some of this.
Because it
like
sounded
Parquet
like
Courts,
Parquet Courts.
Which I did listen. I did
A
listen.
little heavier.
I
It's
love that
it's
you
heavy.
added that song to the
Van Gogh is a
Van Gogh
sick
is
song.
sick.
He's gonna talk about that later.
They
No.
Being Dead Eels is what I love in a new band. Whereas you take old sounds, they took like 50s, 60s surf rock, Beach Boys.
It is Beach Boys.
Beach Boys, and you mix it with like an indie rock sound. The complementing of the male and female voice together, they almost do like a barbershop quartet Beach Boys noise with 2 people.
Was it a beck and call?
It's a beck and call, yeah, like a call and response. So just vocally, it sounds really nice. The creative decisions on using that kind of surf rock noise, but also just throwing random stuff at it, like it's also kind of lazy, just like she'll throw a word, he'll throw a word, and it just I am in love with this album. It's my feeble little horse. It's my band.
I like that, man.
Yeah,
I like that.
It makes my top 5. So at first I was like I had it all the way up, but then I had to start being like, okay, I gotta be grounded here. Like they're coming at the kitchen, and I can't wait to see what they do next. But they're in my high praise. Right now.
Yeah, for me, it just ended up being like a little too dragged out. Like I didn't end up liking songs. It was kind of they're a victim of how great the year was. Let's
Yeah,
put it that way.
totally.
Let's put it that way. Because the only album on my top 10 that I don't listen to front to back is Charlie XCX. So if I skip one song in your album, you're automatically pretty much out of the top 10, right? Like
No,
I want a front to back listen. I want a no skips album, just in terms of this year, at
No,
least.
yeah, it's hard coming into like a stacked roster, but I just found when I listened to them, I went like, I haven't heard this, and like I actually took Parquet Courts, you sent it to me on a plane ride, listened to the whole thing. I felt vocally they didn't hit the aesthetic that I was into. Like they're a little harder, a little rougher, which I know it's their sound, but it it wasn't tapping into what I liked
Nah,
about
it's more the reason I suggested them is not so much the vocal. It's very
guitar.
surf rock.
Yeah, there
type
was. Yeah, it
guitars.
was.
Yeah.
I wasn't getting that same feeling, but
I didn't realize you liked it that much at the
oh
point
man,
because that was more of
I'm
a
blasting
me and
it
Reed
now.
love parquet chords.
Oh, I'm blasting Eels to heaven to this day.
Yeah.
I
So that's a
love it.
downgrade for
I
you
love it.
in terms of I would call it an upgrade.
Yeah,
But I
no.
still like Eels.
Yeah,
Good
no,
album.
yeah, Eels. Yeah,
Anything to add?
You guys covered a lot. I do really like that single. What's the name of it?
Van Gogh
Van Gogh.
or not Van Gogh. is it Van Gogh?
Van Gogh's.
Van Gogh's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have a very interesting sound. I only listened to it a couple times, but it's the type of thing I was like, man, like this is super old school. Like,
Yeah.
Which
It's from the 50s.
It's Beach Boys. It's Beach Boys like it's surf rock. in a
Yeah,
way.
surf rock. It's like pop structures, simple pop structures with surf rock, but then also very indie heavy as well. So,
yeah,
man,
which is
can't-
super cool.
can't
Good,
get enough.
good pick. Surprising. Good
I
pick.
can't get enough, man.
All right, number 5. So this one we already talked about. It was a very, very early on in the year album that I rated highly. And when I listened to it this past week, it just kind of reinforced how good it was. It's one of those that instead of falling down the pack, it's Mannequin Pussy. Again, I said earlier at 10 minutes, 10 songs, 30 minutes, super tidy. There's no waste on here. Like every song hits. We talked about it earlier. Her mix with her screamo vocals.
Dynamic range.
Yeah,
Her dynamic range. Her dynamic range. How she can go from quiet to loud like that.
It's very trimmed. There's
Yeah.
no fat on this album
No.
whatsoever.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's good.
very, very good. Front to back listen. It's excellent. I don't really have anything else to add.
No, I mean, like what else we talked about?
I like her bassist dresses like a fucking G,
Yes,
and
I
it's
had-
cool as shit.
Is a big like Brandy
He's so
Trailer Park Boys type
Yeah.
boiler going on.
Thick, and he's
I love it.
in that concert. He just like
I have that in my notes of him in the concert with his gut out. Like-
his gut out, like no shame.
They're
at
a
all.
very weird looking band. They fit punk. It's fantastic. This is kind of like one of those new bands that we got into this year that like although this is so good, it's also like, well, what else do you have? Like
Yeah.
what is coming next, right? If you look at their placement on major festivals, like they were down with the Wednesdays and like you can barely see font.
Yeah,
Mhm.
So
you love to see it.
what's coming? What's coming, right? No, it's coming.
Yeah,
You
that's
good?
it. Yeah.
4. All right, I'm gonna double down on some MJ Lenderman here,
Here we go.
but this time it's gonna be Waxahachie's Tiger's Blood.
Yeah.
So I did a big reel on this, Mister. This is my 2024 Charlie XCX, where I will prove Roz wrong that this is a fantastic album. No, I said everything I needed to say in the reel. She is insanely talented lyricist who can differentiate herself in the genre of Americana country. She sings so well. Her voice is perfect. She has the ability to put full thoughts over different bars. It doesn't feel like someone who's talking about a red solo cup where everything ends on the same exact bar or same exact note. She differentiates herself. She's so good. Like I was pretty much infatuated with Katie Crutchfield, I think her name is, for the longest friggin' time. This came out pretty early. The addition of MJ Lenderman, he just complements her voice so well. I'm having another musical man crush moment here, but also I will say one of my favorite things, or one of the more relatable items about this album, is that it kind of hits home in the capacity that it talks a lot about growing away from friends that you've developed in your early years. The good old days, you don't know they're over. You never know the good old days are over. That's a hard fact to swallow. But you just look back and you're like, damn, those were fun. And some people grow differently. You know, some people have kids, some people get married, some people stay single, they travel, they do whatever. It's just, you know, even moving, right? Like just being in a different place. So kind of hits home, and I am definitely the emotional lyricist type guy. So it really hits me well. I love this album. So good. Waxahachie Tiger's Blood.
Waxahachie. It's funny because the validation game is still going because this TSR is, it's a machine in a way where albums come across the desk. We go, okay, are we reviewing this? And this time I was like, nope, don't want to do it. It's like, all right, well, we won't do it. I'm very much on the music side or the production side. So I was like, her voice isn't really doing anything for me. Production wise, not really doing anything for me. It wasn't until Lundy did your reel where I kind of understood the message and like how it impacts people, the emotion side of it, which is something that I didn't really take into account at my first pass. But then I went back and listened. It is a great album.
Yeah.
She is her lyricist. She's a fantastic lyricist. The album is very good. MJ Lenderman adds so much to it. I feel like he is.
Well, he adds everything that was needed to be added because we did her previous album
Mhm.
and it ended up in the sixes.
Yeah.
And he just adds enough flair to bring it from country to Americana that I absolutely love it.
Did he have any? So like I said, I listened to it after your reel. I listened to it a few times. I appreciate it a lot more. How much involvement did he have in the album itself?
Well, I don't the concept of it, and I don't know the full album thing, but he got brought in just for that one
the
song.
one song, yeah.
Yeah, right back to it.
Right back to it. Yeah.
And then she loved him so much, she's like, stick around for the full
Yeah,
album.
help me overhaul this.
Yeah,
make it-
and it worked out. Like she has a full band behind her, but like he just adds the flair in the same way he adds to his own album. I just think she's a better writer than him. That's ultimately what makes this slightly ahead of it.
Yeah.
And I also love a good girl singer.
girl singer. Also, just like seeing your like the impact it had on you emotionally, like how, and it is true, like how we're getting older and how things are changing. It's very, it's very powerful. So no, it is a good album. I jumped the gun right away. It's very much like Charlie, where I go surface level and face value, and then go back and so maybe you'll get something out of me. Who knows? We'll see.
It's number one album for you, isn't it?
Number one, yeah.
Don't have too much to add. I am here though for Lundy's transition into country music lover, slowly but surely.
Cotton Eye Joe, Achy Break Your Heart coming up very soon.
Garth Brooks, baby.
I listened a few times. I actually listened this week because I figured this was gonna come out.
Me too. Yeah.
I definitely enjoy it. Her voice is very enjoyable to listen to. I didn't dig in, like I kind of just had it on type thing.
Let's put it this way: it's better than her last album for you both.
Yes.
It might not be top 4 like I am rating it, but it's good.
But it's
Yeah.
good. Yeah, it is good. So my number 4, this album has been a staple in my Spotify for a long time since it came out. Number 4 is Fontaine's DC Romance. But it's hard for me to really describe my feelings objectively or technically with these kind of albums because it's just like a really solid rock album. Like Fontaine's DC, they do rock so well. And through my review, I kind of broke down how it came to be through a tour using James Ford, the producer, who came on board and really, I feel, helped the band kind of make the sound they wanted to make.
Great backlog.
Yeah, great. Oh my God. If you look at this guy's list of artists and bands, it's insane.
Arctic Monkeys, Jesse Ware, Blur, The Last Dinner Party. Great list.
Jesse Ware, shout out Jesse Ware. But so I believe, as I mentioned, they kind of found James Ford through a tour with Arctic Monkeys.
Yep.
And it really shows. So this album is just great front to back, no skips. Almost tells a story. The songwriting is excellent. Just the unique little movements and things that he does in his song, it really hits extra hard. There's obviously a lot of influence. I know Bug, you've talked about a lot of Oasis to it, a lot of just UK rock sensibilities, but again, just a very solid foundations. The foundation is very, very good, and it's just a really great album. I don't really know how to put it any other way.
So this is one that kind of fell off a little bit for me after we listened to it. So I do enjoy it, like not taking anything away, like it's not my top 10 or anything, but I guess to talk about what I'm different from you, it's just I feel like listening through it, like they do have various styles going on, and I feel like they kind of lose me in their up and down and changing, whereas like others really keep me intrigued. I like maybe it's a subjective thing because I don't love like the shoegaze like
Yeah.
style as much.
Yeah.
Like I definitely factor that in when in making my opinion, but yeah, I just feel like some songs hit really hard and really good, and then like the next song they like slow it down to a crawl, and I'm kind of like, oh man, like kind of loses me a little bit before it picks back up. So that's the only thing I would say, like to counter what you're saying. I do think it's great. And what's the frontman's name again?
Grind chatting.
Grind Chatting. Yeah.
Chatting.
So like these guys are obviously on the rise. They did have like a little Twitter feud with Liam, which
With
was
Liam,
With
yeah.
Oasis, yeah.
which was pretty
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
Good for them. I feel that's gonna only help them at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, like to be different from you and counter what you're saying. That's the only thing I would say, but still a great listen.
Oh, yeah.
And like still a band on the rise, and for sure, I think the best is yet to come for them.
It's funny because you say how like the energy changes was a negative. To me, it was a positive. Like
Same.
like
Yeah.
the pacing to have your audience like this in the palm of your hand, slow the energy down, breathe on the tracks, have that breath. I feel like if their sound was balls to the wall, the whole track list, it would be too much. It would be exhausting.
And
I appreciated the kind of energy fluctuations
And
throughout. Right?
normally I would feel the same. And like we talked to a Mannequin Pussy here recently, like their high octane style, and then they really dial it back. There's just something for me when I'm listening, it kind of goes high to low too much. Like the in between isn't like
I mean, at the end of the day, we're trying to rank 10 albums over hundreds and hundreds of albums.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So like we're nitpicking at this point. It's not that it's bad. You just not-
yeah,
not
it
quite
just
there.
just fell off when I'm talking creme de la crowd.
yeah.
But again, like not to take anything away, like it's a great album. It was well received critically, the whole thing. I gave it an 8. I might have a little bit lower, but it's still great music.
Yeah, for me, just really good. I think the most subjective thing about music is always enjoying someone's voice. It's like, we have so often that you can say someone like Adele, where it's just like, that is an iconic voice. There's no one that can tell you that she can't sing.
Yeah, you put it in a computer that is like a beautiful
Yeah,
voice.
exactly.
Yeah,
Like
no-
it's like ChatGPT give me really good voice and it spits out Adele. Whereas like for this a lot of Irish and British influx that we've been kind of on this year, it doesn't always hit for people, right? And yeah, I totally get that. For me, I think it's a really, really fantastic album. I like him a lot. I think he delivers a lot what I want in music. And one of the best things I can say about it to you is just when it came out, it was the easiest up thumb I've had in a really long time.
it's quick. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an ode to rock music. They really cover a whole lot of stuff. Like Death Kink feels like a Nirvana song. Some of their ballads feel like Oasis or like, something more recent like The War on Drugs. And then you have like Arctic Monkeys level, like stadium rock. And it's just, I don't know, man. It just covers a lot. And for me, it flows well. I understand that flow isn't for everyone, and that's where it follows you down. So yeah, no, great
Yeah,
album.
the oscillating, the up and down, I always love, and I think it's also like I said about an English teacher. I love when the acts like he's being himself. He's not masking himself. You can hear what he probably sounds like on a day to day.
Yeah,
It's you can
yeah.
hear his kind of his acts, his twang in the songs, which I've been on a huge kick with. So it's great.
Moving on.
Yep.
All right, little reminder here. What are we on? 4, right?
4 for you, then 3 for me.
All right, number 4. So I'm really battling the subjective objective here because this artist is one of my favorite, up in probably like of active, probably like top 3. Adrian Lenker, Bright Future. At 12 songs, 44 minutes, I rated 8.2. We had 8 overall. Just like to create an image of me, grown ass man, in my kitchen, singing these love songs. Pretty funny image, right?
Yeah,
She's
Pretty funny.
the one word I have for her is
especially if Mel isn't there.
oh, she's not. Sometimes she is.
You just have breakfast by yourself.
The one word I have for her is authentic, right? Like in a world where like you have AI, people are like dipping into everything, trying to like add an extra touch here, add an extra touch here. She strips it down and bears all. You know what I mean? She like the first song, Real House. Pretty sure
Devastating.
you guys can comment. Like I'm pretty sure it was recorded like just live, and you can hear her like meandering thoughts like throughout the song. You don't really know where she's going with it, and at a point you're not really sure if she knows, but like it all comes together and like so well at the end with this like devastating little story about like family and losing a dog and like um that's amazing. The first five songs, like the first half of the album, is probably my favorite half of any album this year. You get like Free Treasure, Real House, No Machine, Sadness as a Gift, like just like wow factor from this lady. Like she's amazing. I mentioned in my review she has that like old school like bit of a
She's the best songwriter right now, no doubt.
yeah, like she has that like Neil Young flair to her where like I put on like After the Gold Rush and like compare it to what she has going on. Like nobody sounds like her. And to me, like that means something. It's amazing. I think the album does like kind of creep off a little bit towards the end, which leaves it at 4 for me. But she's one of my favorite artists right now.
Yeah,
She-
man,
she's awesome.
absolutely. She is insanely talented. Like I just said, I think she's the best singer songwriter there is. Her ability to just weave these lyrics is insane. She's so sharp, and she does it over and over. Like I just
Poetry, even with Big Thief. Like
I just
it's like-
complained about like someone like The Smile putting out like multiple albums, but like she's the one person I will never complain about it because she just consistently comes out with it's poetry. It's poetry. It's so good.
Beautiful.
She's fantastic. And I mean, you guys know my negative on this is that everyone has the opportunity to make them sound the best. And she just took the live approach and it's admirable. But when I'm stacking it up against other albums who took the tools that they had at their disposal, it just doesn't make the cut for me. But holy Lord, she's fantastic. Like I would like there's 2 or 3 songs that I listen to constantly.
Oh, same.
It's so good.
It's almost like, and just to echo, I have a lot of similar thoughts. I agree. Her songwriting is out of this world. I don't know who you can match her up to. I agree with Lonnie in that she chose an aesthetic, like in this day and age. Like if she almost put an album out and then did a live album cover, like a version, like Taylor's version of it, that would be good. Like I understood what she was going for with the kind of sitting around I said in my review, sitting around a bonfire with her friends and just like strumming the guitar. But it's just like it tears at your heartstrings, man. Like this album is just so deep. Lyrically, it's a great album. It's a great pick.
Some of her lyrics are like so deep and like ranging and like there's so much depth to them. But then she says stuff like I haven't smelled food so good since I don't know where and I don't know when. And you're just like, man, like so good. Like I would say that as a kid. But like it fits so well in what she's going for on the song. And I don't know, she obviously does something to me. Like same thing with Dragon, New, Warm, You, whatnot.
Up at the
But
gas station next door. Yeah.
yeah,
I feel like she's your Mitski from
yeah.
like it's a comparable. Like I think they write a lot of the same stuff. We get different things out of it. You don't get quite out of it like what Mitski does to me, and I don't quite get out of Blinker what she does to you. But that just goes to show how great both of them are. But yeah, it's zero to do with the output. It's more so to do with what everyone else did.
Yeah. It's the aesthetic. You
Yeah.
just you didn't agree with the way that she
Yeah.
did the album.
Yeah.
You like the album itself.
Like out of my 10 albums, who do I want to see live? She might be number 1 or number 2,
Yeah.
but who had the best album?
Exactly. No,
Not her.
I
Yeah.
agree.
That's
on-
just my opinion.
On
No, I
that
agree.
point, I think she's like up top 2 or 3 of who I'd want to see. Like
So do you want to see
like-
her live or do you want to see Big Thief?
that's a good question. Probably Big Thief.
Yeah.
Probably
so,
Big
yeah.
with some of her songs in there.
For those who
like-
don't
like-
follow,
like-
I think I had Big Thief as my number one song the last 2 years. So like I love that.
You
band.
guys
I
are
love.
huge into big. You guys.
I hated
as-
that album, but
yeah.
I love Big Thief.
Yeah, the
They
songs.
make such good songs.
A big thing you touched on is like, which is like a common theme, and I feel as music gets more saturated and like the market gets so insane, is authenticity is so important. Like you said, like you believe what she's saying, she's authentic, and a lot of artists coming up in this top 10 are just authentic, unique, not changing the wheel, but just very you feel like they believe what they're saying. They're not
100%.
being fake, which is super important, right?
Yeah. All her songs are like so just layered with especially this one. Like I feel like she's talking about like her love life a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, it's just I love her, and I really want to
I want to marry you.
really want
Sorry,
to
Mel.
be like a small
the stress.
venue type show with her and be super sick.
Oh, she's great.
Top 3.
Let's do it.
Are we top 3 right now?
Yeah.
All right.
So I tried my best not to give this away as we were talking about it, but my number 3 is Romance by Fontaine CC. It's the ode to rock music. I love this a lot. Grind Chatton is one of my favorite singers right now. I'm very into the Irish British singer. I know that's a subjective feeling, but ultimately this is a coming out party for me on a band that I think has the possibility to be in the realm of like the Arctic Monkeys, that sort of thing. Like the way the music landscape is, it's hard for a rock band to be Taylor Swift or, you know, Chappelle Roan or Charlie XCX. Is just the way things operate. But in terms of how good a rock band can be, this is it for me. They do a lot of different styles that is a throwback, but I feel like they also show their ability that they might just have something up their sleeve. And it really intrigues me. And this album is fan-fucking-tastic. Love it. I can't stop listening to it, honestly. This and my other 2 albums.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like I said, I just talked about it. Don't have a lot to add, but for me to have a rock album, the same as you would get an electronic or you would get like an electronic, like to have a rock album in my rotation is crazy. It truly feels like there are not many bands. This might be the number 1 band for me where you can feel the potential that they can blow up. Like it's like a torch passing moment. Like you got Arctic Monkeys producer helping you. You're talking shit to the boys at
At Oasis.
Like you're in the conversation. Like you're there.
To me, it just
Like
feels
the new guard, like the old guard trying to push through the old guard kind of thing, right?
they just have this weird feeling to me that, like, you know, so many bands and so many musicians are just that front woman or front man. But to me, they just have that every single person contributes. Like, I don't know. They just feel like
it's like Radiohead, like
they
you said
feel
earlier.
like a
Yeah.
full band to me, and that's what makes them so exciting. This album is fantastic, but I don't know. It's almost like I'm rating it so high because I'm so excited for what could. possibly come.
Are they on any of the 2024 lists
I
we've
haven't
seen?
I haven't
I
seen
don't
them
think.
yet.
I don't.
What do you
remember.
mean?
Oh, they're Primavera, right?
They're a Primavera.
Yeah.
It's great. Like when we did the actual review, I did a lot of read a lot of interviews
Yeah.
for was it Grian? How do you say Grian?
Brian.
Some
I think it's
Irish-
like Brian, but
yeah.
Brian.
But he's just such like like he's like an enigma. Like you can
They
just tell.
dress weird.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can tell he
like,
just like does
yeah.
his own thing, and you can tell he's like destined for greatness, and you
Yeah.
can feel that kind of potential
Yeah.
through his music. So it's a great pick.
it's like mix of like pop culture plus really deep introspective lyrics. Like it's
man,
pretty much
Running is underrated.
made for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else to add. I didn't say earlier.
Yeah, no.
Solid listen, and like many of the other ones we've done, let's see where these guys go.
Absolutely.
Right.
Number 3.
Number 3. So this one is like very unique in that typically with Tuesday reviews, if we have an album going on for too long, like you kind of get sick of it, it kind of goes down, usually doesn't go up. So my number 3 is Magdalena Bay, Imaginal Disc. These guys, duo. I remember when it came out, it was like over an hour. I'm like, there's no way this is gonna be anywhere for anybody. And the slowest to this day, I said in my review, the slowest burn of an album. Like I had at one pass, it's like okay, 2 passes, 3 passes, and then you start feeling the layers and you start feeling the emotion, and it just kept building up. And like the style, the kind of synthy poppiness to it, it was just it all kind of came together. It's like yeah, it was a slow burn, but yeah, it just kept creeping up. the more I listen to it, and yeah, it can't get off my mind. I'm listening to it all the time. It's really really good.
We're on
Yeah.
3, right?
Three, yeah.
It's also my 3.
There we go.
Nice, nice. Nice.
8.7.
I was actually thinking that might be your one, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
So I feel similarly. Like initially, I was flirting with a down thumb, but man, did it grow on me. Like I think the biggest thing was like it's 54 minutes, not over an hour, by the way.
Oh, wow.
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 But just like
That's a true 3. My 3 is like a poser 3, apparently.
it's
You
like,
do not feel that 3.
it's staying power. Like I don't know if the right word is reinvents itself, but like as it goes, like
It's very different.
It
Oh, it's
scratches so many like different things. Like you got the stadium rock anthem, you got like these kind of weird spiraling intros that keep you intrigued. It's a concept album right out the bat of being
That's the
like
best part.
an alien. Like,
the
you have,
best
like,
version of yourself. It got that super groovy jam. What is what's called?
love.
Yeah.
Love is
That's
everywhere.
it. Like for
don't
me,
know.
it just
It's like
it
that.
just
Exactly.
kept checking boxes.
Yeah.
And just listen to him, like, man, like at the end of it, I'm like, I never got sick of that. And it went on for so long. And just
Stays
like I
good.
said, hit so many boxes, and I was really impressed by the end of it.
Yeah. Ethereal dance pop. When Reed gave that score for
I was
again,
blown
for-
away.
For Reed to be blown away?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I was like, what did I miss?
yeah.
No, because I mean, I take impact on what you guys score stuff, and sometimes, like, I'm like, he's gonna give it around there, and I really thought you were gonna end up being lower than me on this album, which is interesting. But anyways, I love this album. This album's really friggin' good. I don't know why I censored myself because I haven't been censoring myself all day.
Brig.
But ultimately, I only dislike this album for subjective measure, and it's because I don't love her voice at points. Sounds a bit childlike to me.
Goes a little baby on.
She goes a little baby on me, but what they do is fantastic. This is gonna be like really high too. Like I think when you look at a lot of other lists,
Looking back, yeah.
in terms of like where Brat is gonna place, I think Magdalena Bay is gonna be really high up there too. This is no disrespect to the album whatsoever. It's just when it comes down to it, there are subjective measures we have to look at for albums, and her voice just doesn't hit for me.
I feel like when it comes to like getting past certain things, I feel like the voice is like the ultimate
Hardest.
is the ultimate gate. If
Yeah.
you cannot get the voice, you're not gonna be able to appreciate any
No.
of it. What she's saying,
Yeah.
what
Mhm.
she's talking to, like you gotta like the voice.
Well, I mean, like, look at it this way. I don't remember my exact score, but I'm pretty sure it was an 8 or an 8-1.
Mhm.
So that just speaks to how great the album is.
Yeah.
She's singing 90% of the time, and I don't like what she's singing, but yet it's still an 8. So that just speaks to how
Well, that's
well
like your objectiveness is shining through. Like you understand. You're just like, I'm not gonna put this on any of my playlists or listen to this in my own time, right?
Yeah, and I was just gonna say the same thing. The fact that you don't like the voice, but it still scored so high, like it offers so much.
Yeah.
And to be, I think 15 songs, 54 minutes.
And it's also like unique and different. You know
I
what I
love
mean?
the
Like,
concept of it, man,
oh man.
because that fits so well in today's landscape. It's like no one wants to be who they are. Everyone wants to be someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like that's the social media world, and it's just like, oh yeah, here's an option. Here's a whole album about how you can be your ideal self.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Oh, man, I'm just having such a kick on these like duos. Like some of it, the
Yeah.
duos, like
That part too. That so much is coming out of
it's two of them.
two of them.
Like what does it look like live? Like he's on the synth. Like remember when we saw like Jock?
Yeah, they
it's like
they,
Jockstrap
they
back
have
then?
they have a
Like,
drummer when they play live.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, they have a touring drummer.
Just two people. It's crazy.
Top 2?
Top
Man,
two.
Top two. Let's go.
Top 2.
All right, we've talked about this album a couple times. My number 2 is This Could Be Texas by English Teacher.
Oh, it's a lot harder than I expected for you. It's good.
So this album, like Wednesday, grew the hell on me as I was like, it came out like April, May, something like that, maybe.
It's pretty early.
Yeah. And I remember, oh no, it came out when we were in Mexico because I remember you saying the Metacritic was like 94 on it.
Yeah.
And I remember listening to it, I was like, nah, it's not true.
No.
It's not. I don't believe it. But anyways, long story short, I kept listening to it like I do with all albums. and eventually it just flipped on me. I love their ability. I didn't even say this in my review, but it's something that I picked up on is they changed the rhythm, the tone, and the volume. They never changed the structure of their song or what they're playing. They just continually mesh like with those sliders and that not layering stuff. They just make their song sound so different by changing those little things.
Interesting take. I never even thought of it that way.
And it just blows me away over and over. I think she's incredible. It just grew on me so much. And I felt this way days before they got the Mercury Prize. When I was listening to that album and I can't remember what song I put on the My Favorite Tunes or what I can't stop listening to, Too Sweet Current Babes. I was like, this album is going to be in my top 3. It's grown on me so much. And then they got the Mercury Prize like the next day. I was like, those motherfuckers are going to think I'm rating this because they got the fucking Mercury Prize. But it's not. I've felt this way. It's an insane project. And I think I love it so much because it's their first thing they've ever done.
That's what I was saying. It's like seeing them fuck up like with a microphone. It's like you can tell they're like the talent is there. They just need to hone it in. And they can be such a big thing. Right?
Yeah.
The potential's there. No, that's I knew this was going to be like talked about a lot and it'd be high on a lot of lists. I've already said everything I had to say. I love their sound. I love the potential that's there. And I just love how new they are and like how much of a future. I'm like living vicariously through their future of what is to come. So no, it is a great pick.
I mean,
What
not,
else?
not much to add.
Yeah.
Right? No, we've said it all 3 separate times now. Let's
This is
just
the
move on.
sign of how great the album is.
It's
Yeah,
no, it's
it is
really good.
excellent. Yeah.
Really
All right.
good.
All right, let's just move on.
All right. Number 2. So this all leads back to what I've been saying about how my understanding of certain music changes and how I kind of see things for what they are and the movements, etc. So my number 2 is Brat.
Whoa!
Brat. It is. No, it truly is. This is an album that I didn't even consider when we first started, but
You didn't even want to review it.
This is
I
massive.
forced you. I
This is
forced you
massive.
into doing a reel.
Yes.
Massive.
But to see the revert, not only is the music good and what they set out for, they executed well, is that the movement it created and the ripples through the whole industry can't be understated. I feel like that it has a,
Also very you.
I feel like, yeah, it is me. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah. But just seeing like the movement it's created and just like the actual music is great. Even the remix album that it spawned is to me one of the best remix albums ever made as well.
So, question before you dive in more is: does the remix album make Brat better, or does it make it less impactful?
I don't think it makes it better, but I think it validates the quality of it. I feel like it is so good that just the scene will look at it and say, we want some of this. We want to be a part of this. And then you have like Ariana Grande and Billie Eilish teaming up to like just make songs and like just even the remix songs are different songs and they're all fantastic in their own way.
When all the biggest pop stars in the world realize that
They
you just
notice.
put out probably the greatest pop
Yeah.
album of all time and they want to be on a remix just to make their name or their money,
But even that,
that's when you know you did it.
but you can like even look at like
I'm
Billie-
so happy.
but you
he
can look
loves
at
Charlie.
Billy. You can look at Billy and Ariana and all these artists, but like they even if they're part of the machine, they understand music obviously to
Yeah.
be the level they're at. They understand what's happening and how good it is, and they want to be part of the movement. So for someone who failed Charlie last time and thought she was an industry plant and her music was all AI generated and she sucked and she whatever. This is like the biggest turnaround I've had on an artist I think ever, especially at 2 Seat Reviews. But I cannot deny Brat. I think it is a high quality production, a very good album. The remix album is also fantastic, and it is my number 2 of the year.
I'd just like to point out that you put out a reel that said, "Is this really good?"
I put the shades on. I was like, let me put my haterade shades on for a second.
There was
Yeah.
some reason he was the only one able to do it, and
Yeah.
it just came out.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I think I can't remember, but like
Something was going on.
you were the only one able to do it,
Yeah.
but you were the biggest Charlie hater.
Biggest hater.
And it came out. It was like the highest rated album of the 2000s, other than To Pimp a Butterfly and OK Computer or something like that.
Kid A.
Kid A.
Yeah.
Kid A, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
And then you're like, yeah, I dug into the lore, and it's pretty
into the
cool.
lore.
It's pretty cool.
People, listen.
Oh, actually, she does write her own songs.
Guys, listen.
I am
Everybody
always
in
going to
the
hold this over your head.
universe, don't judge a book by its cover. Do your research. Do
Don't
your research.
don't judge a book by their very pop album.
Follow the lore. Watch their boiler rooms. They are actually good artists and they're making good stuff. And it would not be fair to Charlie or to me if I did not solidify what this album, the impact of the album, and also what I think it is quality wise compared to what's going out this year.
I love that, man. That's really cool. I don't have anything else.
I also love that.
Yeah, I respect it big time.
Now I'm gonna be the only one who didn't have Brat in top 10.
Yeah. You didn't have Caroline Polachek in your top 10 either.
You get a Reed Fork Summer. I didn't have Brad Summer. Get a Fork Summer.
Don't. He was building dams.
Busy building dams.
Fucking beaver.
Number two, maybe a surprise. The Smile, Wall of Eyes.
Oh.
So we've talked about it a couple times already. I'll try to add some stuff that we haven't already. Masters at Work is one of my bullets. So one thing I'll say about The Smile is like when you go back at the end of the year, like it's more difficult to listen to The Smile than it is to throw on a lot of what we've talked about. Like it's not uplifting, like it's not like
It's like
God, it isn't
scientific. I
uplifting
call
at
it
all.
it's not math rock, but it seems like you gotta like appreciate the art of playing guitar and being good at
it's
instruments.
immersive. Like you gotta like really, all right, this is what I'm listening to, kind of zone out everything else, which we do in our reviews, right?
Mhm.
And it was the same thing with a light
Light for attracting attention.
light for attracting attention, which got high marks. You almost gotta like, all right, this is what I'm listening to, and I'm gonna block out everything else for now, and then you kind of, all right, damn, like this is real, like this is really good, and like that's where I still am with this. Like the track list is awesome. Like starts with Wall of Eyes, then goes to Teleharmonic. I think Read the Room might be after that. Like you have your
insane
your Tom York I Quit piano ballad at the end. Like it just like it offers so much, and like I think to myself like, man, they should have a camera just like recording
They might.
these guys process.
Maybe it's coming out.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like I just like to be in that room and like watch it and be like, no, tweak this, no, tweak that. Like just I mean, I guess that's it. Like it scratches a lot of itches. We talked about it
The
on their-
Radiohead itch.
on their second record. Like you have these like almost like theatric times during the music where you're like, this could be played during a movie. And then there's other times where it's just like, all right, Johnny's just gonna whip on it, and that's it. Like
So here's a question for you. I can't recall if you addressed this in your review, but I stated it saying that if Radiohead never returned and this is the output we get from The Smile, I'm content. Do you agree or disagree?
I mean, I think it hurts.
Yeah.
I think it hurts. Like, I think we all want the Radiohead back. I do think it's coming.
Content is versus upset.
Yeah,
though.
Content's a
Like,
wild
yeah.
word because it's like, considering they're putting out amazing music.
Like if
in
you
spite
put
of
yourself
itself,
in their position, they don't want to return. They could just not do anything.
Mm-hmm.
or put out something terrible.
Yeah.
Like,
So
the
like,
fact it's this quality on the
does
side.
it scratch the itch enough? Like,
I think content, yes.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah, it's just like that initial like smack to the face. You're not gonna hear him anymore.
But as an artist or as a fan of the artist, will you always be like, but maybe Radiohead, maybe they'll do something Radiohead.
Oh,
that I want.
absolutely.
well, I
I
mean,
think
until
so.
they absolutely come out and
Is it-
say that
is it
we're
the s-
never going to do this
Is it
again.
the is it the true appetizer? Is this the Caesar salad that you're hoping that like turns into a full course eventually?
No, it's the opposite. Actually, it feels like a full course meal to me in terms of this album because it feels different into like a Light for Attracting Attention to me felt like a side project.
Mhm.
It's a good app, to put it in
Yeah,
your
yeah.
food terms. But
Caesar
this
salad,
feels
bacon-
like
bacon
it
bits.
it fills me up. It
Yeah.
it clears it.
There has to be a thing where when an artist or artists go to and they create like a side parallel project and they put out an album, you're like, cool guys, good job. But then they put out a second album and a third album. Then you're like, oh shit, they're serious about this. They're gonna keep producing. They're gonna keep making music this way.
Yeah.
So you kind of like then you accept, okay, maybe this is like the path they're going.
I think they just want to keep creating.
Yeah,
I
they're
think
just
that's where
artists.
and it's not the right time for Radiohead. I did hear or read about an interview.
Colin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where he said he thinks they'll get back together.
Yeah. Yeah. But he's also not making the money that they're making.
Exactly. Like they're right there with
Dynamic pricing wins.
with Adrian Lenker in like small venue type thing that like I want to see next versus a big stadium.
They probably like the intimate setting. Maybe it's like another aspect of it. But it is crazy. Like I feel I'll add this to this album. Is this? It's almost like Tom and Co live outside of like
Don't
reality.
ever call them Tom and Co. It's
Tom and
Tom
Co.
and Johnny.
Tom and Johnny and Co. They live outside reality. Every band breaks away. How many bands can be around since the 90s and still be like this timeless? They don't miss a step. They're still creating new things, being unique. They're not in the past. They're completely in the future. Like, how are they still this good? There's like no. It's like, almost like they're cheating.
Well,
Still no one
that's what
sounds
I'm
like
saying.
them.
Like they're continuing to build their legacy.
That's what I mean.
Like,
They've
they're
been around
not
forever. It's crazy.
like they're not just piling on old stuff. Like they're continue to recreate and like push out new stuff.
What other band has done this? Maybe like the beat. Maybe like Paul McCartney. Like, who
No.
does this?
No.
Anybody?
No. The only one that comes to mind is the Chemical Brothers.
Yeah.
No, because no one can replicate them in a way. It's just like as soon as you hear them, you know it's them. And even though the Smile aren't Radiohead, as soon as you hear them, you know no one else is making that music.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the way. Like Paul McCartney is fantastic, and this is probably a hot take on the Beatles overall.
Beatles suck.
No, I don't think the Beatles suck at all. I think they created what a band is.
Oh yeah.
But like, I mean, if you stack up their music versus what I love today, it doesn't parallel at all. Yeah, that's just my opinion.
It's like anything though, man. Like you think of like sports or anything, like you're always like technology or like just like things will be better in the future.
But
You know
no, I don't agree.
what I mean?
No, because like 10 years later, like Depeche Mode and New Order and The Cure and all them were just making insane music, and it still sounds as fresh today as it did 50 years ago.
So what you're trying to say is that like the beat, like they're not like timeless in ways that like other bands may be, or like their sound. You mean?
What do you mean?
Like you're saying like New Order, they're making stuff and it's to this day it sounds fresh.
Yes.
But you're saying like Paul and Co.
Paul and Co.
Paul and Co. Paul.
The Beatles created what a band is.
Yes.
They are,
They laid the
They laid the
foundation,
foundation.
yeah, like the mold.
and a lot of people followed behind them, and a lot of people came after them in terms of the hard rock, the Led Zeppelins, the Pink Floyds, that sort of thing. But no one hits today like those new wave post-punk artists.
Well, it's like the Cure. Like they're
Well, yeah, they're in there.
yeah.
So that's my opinion, is that like a lot of great bands from the 50s onwards are more foundation based than they are fitting in today's musical landscape.
It's like a really fancy way of saying that the Beatles suck.
Yeah, the Beatles fucking
I think
suck.
like it's about a moment in time too, like
As anything is,
Well,
yeah.
like
You
where
are
the people in the band were in their lives,
Yeah.
like how they record. Like there's so like think about like all the factors that bring it to like the people, their ages, where they are in their life, they're having hard times, good times. Like
But this-
like there's so many things that intertwine. Like an album I really love is Blood Sugar Sex Magic by the Chili Peppers, and like this was their second album with John Frusciante, and they all like got in a house together and like lived together.
Is that the Haunted Mansion one that they
Yeah,
did?
yeah, and recorded it all together,
in a haunted house. It's true.
Haunted Mansion.
Oh, sorry.
and
A really rich ghost.
and it was kind of the stepping stone for their career. Like they had a lot of hits, but like this was like the big one. But like I use that as like a microcosm of like a bigger scale, like where everybody is and what they're bringing. and-
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
but that actually like proves my point. Why is Tom immune? Why are these guys immune to the problems in your life and the growth as a person, or being young, or being older, or lost? Like, why are they still constantly so good? They've lived lives. They have lives. I'm sure, personal lives.
I don't think they're immune to it. I think it's as much as that they are willing to change and adapt to how the music is changing. Because like you look at, sorry to do this to you, but the Red Hot Chili Peppers, like they just know what buttered their bread and they continued to do it. Metallica knew what buttered the bread, continued to do it. Foo Fighters, one of my favorites, buttered the bread.
Dave Grohl put a lot of butter on stuff these
Dave
days.
Grohl might have buttered a couple too many
He's buttering the
girls.
wrong piece of bread. I think he's buttering the wrong bread.
I think we're getting off track. Are we good to move on?
Leave Dave alone.
I think we're good to move on.
All right,
Okay.
boys, we are down to our number one album. The way the dice rolled is unfortunate because everyone, if you follow along, know what my first album is, my number one. I gave it a perfect score other than time. That is pretty much the only thing that kept it from being a 10. Vampire Weekends, Only God Was Above Us. And I would like, before I dive in, to allow my other members to say their number ones because I believe they're the same.
You are correct.
It is unanimous. We've all picked the same number one. The first time.
First time.
First time. But you know what? What album deserves it more than this one? Honestly.
Nah, yeah. So, I mean, it's just fantastic. And there's no other way to say it. It came out on the day we were flying to Mexico. I listened to it. The first 3 songs were like, this is good. And then 3 or 4 songs, can't remember. I think Prep School Gangsters is 4 or 5. And that guitar solo was like, wow. It is an all-time album. This is so good. And I think it fits all of our profiles in terms of, you know, the millennial. Like, I understand that Ezra's rich and not struggling, but like his ability to put himself in that mindset of like how like our generation kind of got.
Yeah, he's grounded. He
He's
understands.
grounded. It's not, I don't want to say so much we're fucked over because I think we all live pretty well. But like there are a lot of people in the millennial generation that did get fucked over, right? Like it wasn't, and he writes about that so well. He's grounded in pop culture. His voice is insane. Ariel, the producer, is just, oh my God, so good. Their ability, like their piano / guitar work, they just don't sound like anyone else. And I don't know how else to put that. I loved Vampire Weekend through their first 3 albums. I will always say Modern Vampires of the City is one of the greatest albums of all time. And this beats it. And that's a compliment to that because their last album wasn't that good. And it almost deterred me to the point that I didn't really care to listen to this album. But from first listen, I was blown away. It is nothing. No one else sounds like this. No one can do this. I'll let you guys chime in.
I think you said it. After the last album, there's a lot of skepticism. Like we saw him coming up on the schedule, and I mean, I'm the same as you. I think you might be a few notches above me on the fandom, but like I adore their first stuff. Like you said, there's really no one like them. Like there's no one I can like look at on my full list on my phone and say they sound like these guys. They're totally unique, which sets them apart. And they had the last album, and like correct me if I'm wrong here, but they had a little separation there where
Yeah, so Rostam was they were kind of like a 1-2, right? Rostam was Ariel in essence. So he produced everything. He left, he wanted to do his solo stuff. Yeah.
yeah, and they got back together on this one, right?
No. Rostam's still not in the band.
Okay. I thought they got back together. There was something from last album to this that they kind of repaired or something.
Well, what it was is that Ezra did the entire last album by himself.
There you go. Yeah, that's what it is.
He did everything.
Rolled it.
Essentially. And what I look at it as is he found himself and the way forward without Rostam, without the guy that he built from his college days.
Yeah, fair enough. I said it during my review, and like I wholeheartedly agree with this. Like I think this performance elevates him specifically because he's the front man and their band to like a whole new level.
Yeah.
Like I really truly feel that you see them going out on all the like Tonight shows, giving performances.
Barry Boone.
Good.
And they're
Boone.
like
Man, what about Connect?
Connect so good too.
Man,
They're like
it should be
impeccable,
possible to do live, and they do it so well.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
which adds to the whole, right?
There's-
Like
they're not in a subgenre. They're not in a group. It's just them, like you guys said. They're their own thing. You
Like-
don't get that.
Like sometimes it's just like you hear this insane music and you're like, can you recreate that
Video
live?
magic is layering and
Yeah.
layering and arranging
And
layering.
then you see them do it, and then they just are so good at recreating it that they don't even need Ezra to play a single instrument. It's just like, yeah, we're gonna haul 10 guys on here. They're gonna be a choir. This is one of the best songs ever made, and I'm gonna sound pristine. And it's so friggin' good.
And that talks to the writing of the song, where you can just give people parts and they'll just like perfectly execute what you want them to do.
Yeah.
Like you guys have been saying everything I want to say, but I said in my review, this is like an actual like I feel like Vampire Weekend are like they're like a living, breathing organism. Everyone plays off each other.
Yeah.
Someone will play the bass and the piano comes in, then he's singing. It's just like perfect harmony. Everybody gets their piece. Everything is just so perfect. It's like you said, high. One of the best albums ever made.
And even
honestly.
aside from the music that they play, like they really have the perfect storm going because Ezra also doesn't sound like anyone else.
no one
His
sounds.
voice is not. What album is this? Like he sounds just as good now as he ever did.
Incredible.
His hair's the same.
Yeah, he looks exactly the
Where's
same. A
point?
little older.
Maybe he is a vampire.
Is he a vampire? He's like what, 45, mid 40s?
I have no idea.
Yeah, he looks like a 20-year-old. Insane.
So this brings a question to me because you gave it a 9.
Yep.
I gave it a 9.4. I think you were at 8.5.
8.6, I think.
Would you go higher?
Yes.
What would it be now?
Huh.
And how long did it take you to get there? I'm curious because like I'd look at this and to give you some time to think is that I don't think this is any secret for me. It would have been a kind of a catastrophe or a big surprise if I didn't have this as my number 1 after saying it's as perfect as an album can be without time. So like where do you fall now if you had to re-rank it right now?
Definitely in the 9s.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, it's hard to pinpoint.
No. Okay.
Hold on,
That-
sorry.
that's better.
Yeah.
That's
Well, like
good enough.
I think it's amazing album. Like, it's amazing album. It's better than anything else this year. Like 100%. It was never even a question when I was doing my
Yeah.
rankings.
When
Same.
like I talk recency bias. When we were on the plane to Mexico, I heard it. I'm like, this is it.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
I don't know where you can go from here.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree with the same, and that kind of speaks to how great the album is that as much as English Teacher grew and Fontaine's DC really blew me away, it never even crossed my mind for this not to be number 1. And I guess that's where I want to go with this is that all 3 of us love this album. If you take one takeaway from this, you have
Please
to listen to this album.
listen to it, please.
It's our only 9 ever.
Yeah.
Our only collective 9 ever.
It's insane.
I just want to add too, like we were talking about like T Swift and Brad and how it brings people together. Like the fact that we all love it plays a part,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, we're
Absolutely.
from all like when we started Two Sweet Reviews, I was the DJ guy. He was the 90s rock guy. He was like the indie pop guy. Like we're all from different planes of existence here. So for something to come together like this is unprecedented, really. Like this is
We've had some agreements in the past, but never. This is our first time in 4 years to say this is the best album of the year.
Closest was probably me. You had Jay Brecky, right?
Me and you had Jay Brecky, but I
You
don't
had a
even know
fifth
if you
or something.
Fifth, yeah.
Yeah.
But even that's a massive difference.
Oh yeah, 100%. I really thought this was gonna happen.
I actually did too.
I didn't know about
knew,
you.
I knew.
Well, I was obvious.
I knew it'd be us, but I figured you were gonna do Magdala Bay.
I also thought you were going to
Yeah, this
be
would be too
Magdalena Bay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm happy. But this is actually great. I like this. All right, so that was our top 10 albums of the year. Hope you enjoyed that. We have a lot more coming. We're going to our top 10 songs. As you can see, it's unanimous. We all like the exact same number 1, Vampire Weekend. Only God was above us. So if you take one thing away, please, I implore you, listen to that album. It is fantastic. And we'll see you soon.